I'm going to go on the record here. I just want to ask it, how many days are we talking about of information that are here?
You mean how many instances, Judge?
Yeah, I guess not days, but like exchanges is really, I guess, the question.
Five, Your Honor.
And these exchanges were all part of discovery?
Absolutely, Your Honor. They're also within the time of the charging period in this case.
Okay. Is the intention to go through each one of these pages?
The intention, Your Honor, and that's why I provide this summary, is that I provide the data from the cell phone extraction so that they have that and they can verify it with their own records, which is helpful, I think, when we're doing summaries, especially with how the statute's written. And then the summary pages that are in the much easier to read tables would be what I would publish to the jury. It's a summary and that's the date and the time, but it's made easier for everybody to digest so that we can get through it much more quickly. And so
it looks like there's at least 117, 118 through 125. Is that right? Okay.
yeah, that I thought you were speaking specifically, Your Honor, to 117. There's also timeline information from the phones related to the 10th and the 11th that I intended to get into as well.
We might as well address all. Is there a summary on these other packets?
No, Judge. If there's not a summary, it's my intention to just ask Sergeant Amundsen about specific instances in those. I provide the bigger part of the exhibit just so, again, Attorney Zacher and the defense team have the context of things, and so the whole record's provided.
Okay.
That's the issue, Judge.
All right. So really, we're only talking about 117 here is the issue. 118, and I don't know if you have an objection, 118 through 125. Those look like packets of information that was, it looks like 126 and 127, 128. Is that correct?
Yeah, 125 is a summary document of 124, again, so that it's easier to read. The other issue that I think we were struggling with when Attorney Zacher was presenting Facebook images or messages, Your Honor, is that it's in the universal time code, and so we're saying things like subtract about 5 or 6 hours wherever we are with daylight savings, and I think that's confusing to the jury and to the witness. And so not all of these are exhibits that I intend to publish, but it is information that I intend to go through.
Okay. Mr. Zacher.
Well, Judge, the problem here is that these are documents that were altered and generated by the state for the purpose of production at trial. A statement of Investigator or Sergeant Amundsen here.
What statement?
You're offering these as his statements.
I'm offering them as exhibits that are coming in through him, just like the
exhibits that are coming in through him that have been altered by the state and presented as evidence.
They're Ms. Dikeman statements.
It was not presented to us before trial, Judge. This is a discovery violation. 971-23-1, parent AM. A relevant recorded statement of any witness on the state's list. It also contains evidence of other acts that were never introduced or litigated, despite the fact that we have a motion in limine agreeing that the state would not be introducing other acts unless they were pre-litigated, particularly incidents where the state is attempting to paint Ms. Dikeman as a pill distributor or somebody who is receiving pills unrelated to this case. Oxycodone, or whether or not she got pain medications from her mother after Mr. Pedrin beat her, mind you,
That's an
are not
allegation.
relevant, are not relevant at all. Like, show me how this is admissible under Sullivan. The statements themselves that the state is also going to be introducing, it's hearsay. We've got statements from Becky Ehlers, we've got statements from Mr. Pedrin. I haven't been able to cross-examine or confront either of them. This is far too little too late. It should be excluded.
What exactly is the information that Attorney Zacher didn't have prior to today, Your Honor? If he looks at these summaries, and you're allowed to produce a summary as long as the entire record is available to defense counsel so that they can verify the accuracy of the summary, that's allowable. This is all information he has. It's in a form so the jury can digest it.
And I don't know, my objection was the same to Exhibit 116, which grossly misrepresented the number of days that Alexavier was out of school with excuses.
Doesn't matter for truancy. The school keeps track of it the same way.
All right. Let me ask this question. The parts which are not the summaries, are those accurate? Are those things you had?
We have these records, Judge, but I disagree that either the summary or the, in particular, some of the content of this summary is even admissible. I think that this is unnoticed other acts. It serves no relevant purpose. It's dramatically outweighed by the prejudice to Ms. Dikeman, tending to paint her as a drug addict or somebody who procures pills when this was never litigated once before trial.
Your Honor, it also goes to the other acts that they are putting at Mr. Pedrin, right? We saw all those videos where he's like, you use pills. She's like, no, you do, right? The jury is allowed to have information to determine whether or not those other acts were proved to the necessary standard. There, again, is nothing in these statements, these summaries, that they didn't previously have. It's within the time charge period, or the charged period here, Your Honor.
The state should have noticed this as another act and brought it up with Mr. Pedrin while I could confront him on the stand about those statements.
I can't. They're not his statements. He wasn't involved in these messages between Ms. Ehlers and Ms. Dikeman. Your Honor, her attorneys are representing, right, her as somebody who successfully completed drug court, and especially in comparison to the evidence that they've presented regarding Mr. Pedrin. Like,
she did successfully complete drug court, Judge. And
Wait, just give me a second, okay? For God's sake. So the problem I see is this, is I don't know what they're referring to in these things. I don't know, 10 pills, 3 pills, whatever it might be. It's not clear what they're referring to.
prescription pills.
No, I understand
Okay.
that. I understand it's prescription pills, but the reality is it Xanax? Is it oxycodone? What is it? Because I assume it's for pain medications or vice versa.
Attorney
Xanax
Zacher, excuse me, Your Honor, but Attorney Zacher said, I believe in his opening statement, that she was getting these pills from her mom because she was being hurt.
Yeah.
So he's acknowledging, right, that they know what kind of pills they are. I mean, I know we can't drag this out, Your Honor. I know that, but if I understand.
I was told yesterday that, no, our director won't take that long. We're more worried about Mr. Zacher's. Right now, Mr. Zacher's not going to be starting until about 3:30, 4 o'clock at best. And the state has taken all day. So I'm going to give you a choice. One, you can use 1 or 2 of I actually think 117 looks like that's related to those pills. I get that. The other ones, I mean, the other ones, are you objecting to 118, 117? Damn it.
Yeah, and Your Honor, the first one on 117 already came in, the comment about getting Xanax, so.
And Judge, I agree that that's probably relevant context evidence, that text about the Xanax. Where my objection lies is all these texts about, well, oxycodone or anything else.
Attorney Zacher represented she's getting it because she's being hurt by Mr. Pedrin. What she's representing to her mom and these is that she has different ailments, and it isn't for that purpose, Your Honor. So I think it goes to her credibility as well.
Talked about the hydrocodone texts that were recent to the allegation. I didn't talk about anything else.
They're all in the time period that these charges were contained in the criminal complaint.
I mean, just a second. I'm going through these summaries. I don't even see the word oxycodone. I don't see. I'm just going through your summaries, right? That's what was actually said in these.
Judge, people who are trading medicines don't put the kind of medicine they're buying in this, right? We had this script text related to Mr. Pedrin.
So, but then it's pure speculation about what the actual drugs are, right? We don't know what the drugs are because you're not, this is, except for the Xanax response. But the rest of them are, do you have 9? Do you have 2? Do you have 10? Are you going to the pharmacy? I mean, you're giving me about 4 minutes here to review this, so I don't, if I'm misquoting it, I'm sorry, but.
I don't think he has a proper legal objection to this, except he doesn't like it.
I've stated my itemized objections repeatedly.
Yeah, that this is a discovery issue, this should have been turned over, so we're
Judge,
not
how is
gonna.
it a discovery issue? I would like a ruling on that because, Your Honor, I have other messages. We're gonna have a cross-examination next week. I would just like.
We're gonna have cross-examination next week?
Judge, what do you?
All right, Dahlia, I'm gonna take about a 5-minute break. Let me think about this. I don't even know. To be honest, yeah, give me a 5-minute break, okay? You think about how this should go.
And then we're cross-examining witnesses next week.
Maybe seated. Okay, first of all, on the issue of 117, 117 is a summary of exchanges for it looks like it's mostly Becky Ellers. Is it all Becky Ellers, I think? Exchanges with Becky Ellers. The statements by Becky Ellers are hearsay. First of all, on the issue of discovery, this was turned over. I do believe the state has the ability to make a summary. The problem I see more is the issue of hearsay in these. You know, they're not being offered for the truth of the matter, but there are statements that are being stated by Ms. Dikeman, which are being offered for the truth of the matter to prove that she's involved with getting certain types of drugs from her mother, and these are prescription, they seem to be prescription drugs, to be honest, and not highly things. So this is what I'll let you do. I'm not going to let you use the summaries. I'll let you use that. You can say the dates and the times of what Josie Dikeman said in these to avoid the hearsay situation. That's what the current situation is. Because I think otherwise Ms. Ellers was going to be, should have been able to testify as to what she said.
Then, Judge, we can call her.
All right?
What you would prefer? I think her statements give context. I would note that.
They're not being offered for the truth of the matter, right?
Absolutely, Judge, just like.
But there's a whole, like January 19th, there's one phrase by Ms. Dikeman. The rest are responses by Ms. Ellers. So you cannot be offering the last three because there's no, it's the effect on the listener question, right? Did this listener, this is not being offered, it's giving context for this.
Your Honor, but
Just have 1 second with Mr. Ruder.
Yeah, go ahead.
Your Honor, about the 19th, I hear what you're saying. I think, though, the context actually comes from the messages a week later where Ms. Dikeman says, Mom, do you have a couple more extra I could buy? I'm not doing good with this COVID. Right? And both times, it's Mr. Pedrin going to get the medicine. Or I would note the one that's around the May date, Your Honor, coincides with the prescription label of the oxycodone that Sergeant Amundsen testified to today. So I think that also gives context to that. I didn't put all of them in, Your Honor, that were within these records. I tried to be selective.
No, I mean, I understand you're trying to be selective, et cetera, but you have hearsay here. You're trying to tell me it's being offered for contextual reasons, but you're not calling Ms. Ellers to bring this on with Ms. Ellers. But, you know, I think that's the problem with this, that these are exchanges between Ms. Dikeman and Ms. Ellers, and yet I understand you're trying to speed it up with the investigator, but it seems to me that this is if you want to get into what the content is by Ms. Ellers, you got to have Ms. Ellers testify to it.
Then, Judge, will you strike the testimony related to Mr. Pedrin and the script and the unknown person that they provided that evidence related to?
There was no objection at the time. It was a valid hearsay, except not tit for tat when it comes to these. I made the objection, the state did not.
I'm seeing what I have in front of me right now. I'm not.
I know, but I understand what something not being offered for the truth of the matter means. So that's my frustration, Your Honor.
Judge,
And I think the objection was made at that time, Your Honor, and it was said that it wasn't for the truth of the matter asserted. Context.
Okay. 117, you can use Ms. Dikeman's quotes. You can use the what I will allow them to be is you can say, you can have Investigator Amundsen talk about what was said right before it and then what was said. So there are some that sort of an exchange back and forth. But there's a whole nother series where, I mean, the very last one in theory is about a vape. It's not even about drugs.
No, Your Honor, that is Ms. Ehlers asking that Derek pick up the vape on the way to pick up the pills because she's at work and she needs her vape.
That seems a lot built into that statement. I'm sorry, but
I am too,
text
Judge.
messages are laden with, you know, we don't know exactly what was said. That's why hearsay becomes a lot more difficult to start adding and applying inferences to what it's being said here. People have inferences being said, and it could be wrong. It's speculation as far as I'm concerned. I mean, actually, that last exchange, she talks about a vape. She doesn't talk, at the very end, she talks about a vape. She doesn't talk about pills.
Ms. Ehlers talks about the vape being brought to her.
Right, right. I mean, I don't know. Okay.
Judge, I would note that this packet contains exhibits marked through 128. My objection is the same to all of these proposed exhibits.
Well, 118 looks like, this is just a Cellbrite, from what I can tell. That's
All
what
Cellbrite or Facebook data.
Okay, so but this is not, it's just a section taken out, right?
What is, Your Honor?
The Cellbrite, 118 is Cellbrite data that was taken out of the discovery.
Correct.
or out of what you got back on the search warrants? Or from the, actually not a search warrant, but it's from the download.
I'll save you the trouble. No objection to 118.
What about 121? I don't know where 119 is. I may have misplaced it.
I don't have a 119 in here.
Okay. 121 looks like to be the same thing. Is that correct?
Well,
It's
it's all Cellbrite information. They contain different parts of the Cellbrite data, Your Honor.
Right. So 121, just let's go through this so we don't keep on having continuous objections. So 121, 122, and 123 seems to be Cellbrite data. Is that correct?
Yes.
It's Cellbrite data, but looking at 121, it's a complete mix. So we've got web search history, we've got call logs, we've got instant messages, we've got text messages. It's still rife with hearsay. It's rife with irrelevant content.
I'm not offering all of it, Your Honor. I offer these when I give them to counsel prior to me beginning questioning, so they have a minute to look at that. I like to pre-mark things and be prepared so that we can hopefully move through things more quickly. I provide these for the context.
Hold on.
I know, so there are certain things I'm going to go into on each of these exhibits. I'm not going into everything
Right.
on them.
So 124 looks like Meta Platform business records. So that's another, that came probably from a search warrant of some sort. It's 125, that seems to be, is that some type of composite log? Or is that from Meta Platform records?
125 is a summary of the meta information in 124.
Okay.
And again, part of the reason for that is so that it has the accurate time frame when the witness is testifying to it.
Right, that's correct. I see that. And do you have an objection to that?
Judge, more than half of this is hearsay from Mr. Pedrin.
Were you going to go through each one of these
No, Judge.
exchanges?
And we would be here for a whole nother week. That wasn't my intent. Again, I do this so they have context, so that I'm not presenting one message, out of a million messages, and then they're scrambling and it's taking us time to get through this stuff. So I provide all of them in context so that we can get through this if they have questions.
So is your intention to show what Mr. Pedrin is saying? Or just what Ms. Dikeman
No,
is
Your
saying?
Honor. My intention is to show what Ms. Dikeman is saying. Sometimes it includes a statement of Mr. Pedrin, like if she's answering a question related to what I'm getting into with this exhibit. But it's, again, offered for context and not for the truth of the matter.
So 124, 125, there may be a selective objection on hearsay, but I'll take a look at the context. Those are admissible. Then 126 and 127, or is it just 126? This is the exchange between Ms. Raines and Ms. Dikeman, which has been essentially.
That 127, no objection.
That summary?
126, no objection.
Okay, 126 and 127. What about 128?
Again, as a summary of what I intend with my further direct of the sergeant to get in. So it's just providing context of the evidence that comes in. Because, right, the problem is I have to present it in these piecemeal ways because some of it comes from Meta, some of it comes from Cellbrite, that sort of thing. I'm just trying to put it in context for the jury.
I understand. I'm just trying to figure out. So 128, there are statements from Raphael, I forget it, but there's statements back to him from Ms. Dikeman. And then there's the call to 911. There's the call to her mother, called 911. I think that is contextual, but what was actually being said by Mr., forgetting his name, what's his last name?
Suarez Porfirio.
Suarez, okay, I'm sorry. I mean, do you object to any of that in 128?
Judge,
Technically hearsay.
if I had been emailed this a week ago,
Let's just tell me, do you object to it?
I don't know if it's accurate. I have to object at this point.
Right.
And Your
I'm
Honor, if I
assuming-
have to change these exhibits, that's the other part. I can't do that on the fly at this point.
I'm not changing, what I'm saying is I'm okay with 128. Yeah, I mean, I think 128 is the context of what happened right in that morning, so I don't have a problem with that at all. So what I'll say is for 117, so we're going to have to break it down because I don't know what else, other way to deal with this, is July 6th. I don't have a problem with that entire being submitted. July 11th, that's fine.
11th, Judge?
What?
The May 11th?
May 11th, 21, that's fine. October 10th, I think do not use October 10th, but you can do the first three exchanges that can just be read. Read by, what were the exchanges? 105, 115, 115. Do you see what I'm saying? Those first three? Because that's contextual, yes, what's up, and then she answers. What Ms. Ellers says afterwards is hearsay.
Can I ask a clarifying question?
No, are you following what I'm saying or not?
I am. I was just wondering if we could ask based on the context of the conversation, what was it about without putting in those other statements? Could the investigator say that on that particular dialogue?
I think it's up to, unless Ms. Ellers is here, that context doesn't, you can give this to the jury and the jury can decide if it's really relevant to drug dealing or not. Even if I let Ms. Ellers put in what she says here is, I will get home, I have your 20, I have 10 extra, I'm now at Walmart, or I'm at Walmart now, where are you? Probably about medications, but the reality is unless Ms. Ellers is here to explain what that exchange is about, I'm not sure how that is, or as Ms. Dikeman explains it. So whatever the investigator says is that it's conjecture. It's not based in what he knows about what was actually what was meant or said, because it is hearsay. It's why hearsay is excluded, in fact. So the next exchange, January 19th, I believe, is what I was on, 2023. How are you feeling? Throat hurts and back hurts. Ms. Dikeman doesn't even respond. She just says, my throat hurts and back hurts. So, unless I'm missing something.
That's the one I said was in context, where she a week later then asks if she has a couple more that she can buy.
So a week.
Says I can give you 10, and she said Derek went to pick up the kids so he can stop by you.
That's connecting something that happened in January 19th, 2023 to January 26th, 2023, 7 days later. You're saying that my throat hurts and back hurts is the reason why 7 days later this other thing is exchanged?
I'm saying it puts in context, right, when she's saying I'm calling for a refill now, it's ready, but I work until 9. I can't get it till tomorrow, but I can give Derek a couple to try. So she can't give him a lot. She has a couple because she can't get a refill till the next day.
You're making a lot of assumptions that the couple that she's starting to talk about 7 days later is the same couple she's talking about 7 days before.
She's asking for a couple more.
Couple more what? Unless you have the person saying, this is why hearsay isn't.
I understand, Josh.
Yeah. So you know what? I just don't. I'm not going to allow 19th and 26th. You can bring in the other ones as I've explained. We've already talked about the other ones. So, all right, let's go forward.
Hold on, Judge. I want to make extra certain. Are you saying I can publish the summaries for both July 6th of 2021,
July 6th of 2021.
May 11th of 2021?
May 11th of 21. It's only part of October 10th of 22.
I'm going to skip that one, Judge. We're just going to keep moving.
Okay, and I think 19th, no, and the next one, no, so it's only those two.
Judge, just so I don't interrupt the flow, I'm just going to enter a standing hearsay and confrontation and speculation and relevance objection to the remaining content, and I won't object individually.
Yeah, I don't think this is a discovery issue. I think it's more of an issue of hearsay issues and then confrontation, but I think the way I've limited that, that avoids those issues. So, all right, let's get going, bring the jury in. We'll figure it out after. I don't think it's 126. Go ahead and bring him in. You can come on up. Investigator, you can come on up. Oh.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Can you please state and spell your name for the record?
Amanda Hanson, Hanson.
Are you employed?
I'm employed by Mayo Clinic.
What is your role with Mayo Clinic?
I am a family nurse practitioner and a psychiatric nurse practitioner at Mayo Clinic.
How long have you worked in that capacity with Mayo?
I've been a family nurse practitioner with Mayo for 11 years and 4 years as a psychiatric nurse practitioner.
I want to direct your attention to January 16th of 2023. Were you working in your capacity as a nurse with Mayo Clinic on that day?
I was.
Was a patient by the name of Alexavier Pedrin admitted?
He was brought into the clinic.
He was brought into the clinic.
Mm-hmm.
And was he brought into the clinic by Josie Dikeman?
He was.
What was Alexavier Pedrin brought into the clinic for?
Right leg pain.
Right leg pain?
Mm-hmm.
Were there tests done to examine the source of the right leg pain that Alexavier Pedrin was experiencing?
Yes.
Was there ultimately a diagnosis of a fracture made?
Yes.
Was that to a fracture to his right femur?
Correct.
As part of your role in this case, did you gather a medical history regarding Alexavier and when he started suffering this leg pain?
I did.
Who did you gather that medical history from?
From both Alex and from Josie.
Was the medical history that you gathered from, you said both Alex and Josie?
Correct.
Was that gathered with both of them together at the same time?
Yes, they were in the same room.
Okay, let's talk about the gathering of that medical history. What was reported to you?
Initially,
by the defendant, by Josie Dikeman.
by Josie, she said that he was accidentally thrown on the stairs by his sister.
Did the defendant say when the purported accidental fall was in relation to when he was being seen by you?
The day before.
The day before?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did she report any other medical history regarding Alexavier and his leg pain?
Not that I recall.
Okay. You said you also talked to Alexavier, is that correct?
Correct.
Tell us about that.
I asked Alexavier what happened, and initially he told me that he fell down at school the day before. He slipped on the ice, and I clarified. I said, so you were at school the day before? Yes, and the day before was Sunday. So then he changed his story and said that his sister accidentally threw him down the stairs.
Did you notice anything with regards to Alexavier when he was making this report to you about how he hurt his leg?
Yes.
You do?
His voice was a little bit higher, and he continuously was looking at Josie. It seemed like for approval.
He's looking at the defendant.
Yes,
Okay. His initial report was a slip on the ice at school.
correct.
Now, January 16th of 2023 would have been a Monday, is that correct?
I believe so. I would have to look at a calendar.
Okay. So the previous day would have been Sunday?
Correct, and that's what I had in my documentation.
Was there also a report of attending a birthday party at some point made by somebody?
Yes, I asked why they didn't come in right after the incident, and I believe it was Josie that said that they had a birthday party.
That they had a birthday party?
So that's,
The report of this birthday party also being the day before on Sunday?
I would have to check my documentation.
Would you recognize your documentation if you saw it in court today?
Yes.
All right. I'm handing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 79. I'd ask you to review that. Let me know if you recognize that, and when you're done reviewing it, please.
Yes, this is my documentation.
And does your documentation record when the report of this birthday party was?
My documentation says they did not bring him in yesterday because they had a birthday party.
And yesterday would have been a Sunday, correct?
Correct.
So the report to you is that a birthday party took place on a Sunday,
Correct.
and that's why he wasn't brought in on the Sunday?
Correct.
Okay. Did you make any observations with regards to Alexavier and the amount of pain that he was in?
Initially, when he came in, he was crying. I did document that he was easily distracted by a cell phone.
Easily distracted by a cell phone?
Correct.
That would have been provided to him by an adult?
Correct.
Okay. At some point, did Alexavier's father arrive on scene?
He did.
Tell us about that.
I'm not sure what time in the appointment he arrived. He did not say anything while he was there.
Did you notice any difference in interaction between Alexavier's father and Alexavier and the defendant and Alexavier?
Objection relevance. Sustained. I take it, overruled, go back, go ahead.
Did you notice any difference between how the father interacted with Alexavier and how the defendant interacted with Alexavier?
From what I recall, the father didn't make any eye contact or speak while I was in the room.
Okay. And who were you dealing with predominantly when you were there?
Alex.
And who was doing all the communication in the room?
Alex and Josie and the children were communicating as well.
Okay. At some point during your meeting and your discussion with the defendant, did the defendant's tenor change?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
His voice became high-pitched when he was telling me about being thrown down the stairs accidentally. His story was inconsistent at first, and then he seemed to be looking to Josie almost for approval and made statements like, go ahead.
Strike. Okay. Sustained for part of the answer, which is.
Okay.
Which part?
Looking for approval.
Looking for approval, okay. I think that already came in, but the statements that you're taking from Alexavier are for a medical history, is that correct?
Correct.
And that's to document how the injury happened and make a diagnosis relative to the injury, is that fair?
Correct.
Okay. I think my question may have confused you a little bit because I said I was talking about the defendant and you were telling me what Alexavier said,
Okay.
Who's the child. At some point, did the defendant's demeanor change during the course of your interactions with the defendant?
Yes, when we talked about admission.
When you talked about admission?
Yes.
You're shaking your head yes?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
With his femur fracture, I had contacted Rochester Orthopedics, pediatric orthopedics, and they recommended that he be transferred to Rochester to basically fix the fracture. And when we talked about transferring, she became agitated.
Above and beyond the fracture that Alexavier had, did you note any injuries to the outside of his body?
According to my documentation, if I can just review that.
Yes, please, if that helps refresh your recollection.
On my exam, he had 2 old-appearing scabbed areas on the right lateral eyebrow, which appeared old, but Mom says they were from yesterday. And he also had light blue bruising to his left flank.
To his left flank?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are you aware or not at the time that you were seeing Alexavier that there was some concern with the fracture being potentially an inflicted injury versus an accidental injury?
Can you clarify the question?
Yes. Was there some concern that the fracture that Alexavier suffered may have been caused by another person versus a fall?
Yes, there was concern.
Okay. And was that going to be examined further as well?
Yes.
And did that cause a change in the defendant's demeanor?
Yes.
There was a discussion about Child Protective Services?
Yes, I did notify them that I contacted police and Child Protective Services as a mandatory reporter.
And that had an impact on the defendant's demeanor as well?
Yes.
Was Alexavier continued to be treated at Mayo, or was he taken somewhere else ultimately?
He was ultimately transferred to Gunderson.
And do you know why he was transferred to Gunderson?
We could not sustain, or we could not get transportation to Rochester via ambulance.
Okay, and so he was taken to Gunderson for that potential purpose?
Correct.
All right. I would move State's Exhibit number 79 into evidence.
Objection. Be received.
That's all the questions I have. Mr. Bowles, do you want her to have continue on this?
Sure. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Now, you work at Mayo, right, in Onalaska?
Correct.
You're a certified nurse practitioner in the Mayo Health System,
Correct.
and you are trained on Mayo's mission and values,
Correct.
Those values guide your clinical judgment, fair?
Fair.
Those values guide how you assess a patient's care, fair?
Fair.
Those values guide how you engage with a patient's family members.
Correct.
And in suspected abuse cases, you must balance child safety with avoiding false accusation, correct?
Correct.
False accusations can have devastating consequences, even if they're later found to be unfounded, right?
Correct.
And you would agree that you should not assume abuse before confirming facts, right?
Correct.
You should avoid letting bias influence medical judgment, is that right?
Correct.
And Mayo's mission statement sets forth its core values: respect, integrity, compassion, healing, teamwork, innovation, excellence, stewardship. Does that sound familiar?
It does.
Respect, that means to treat patients and their families with dignity, correct?
Correct.
And integrity is defined as adhering to the highest standards of professionalism, ethics, and personal responsibility. Fair?
Fair.
And medical staff at Mayo are always expected to demonstrate the highest standards of professionalism when they're working with patients and with their families. Fair?
Fair.
And medical staff at Mayo are always expected to treat patients with dignity, and families as well, right?
Right.
Staff are expected to treat patients and their families with dignity, even if the staff has concerns about abuse in the home. Is that fair?
That is fair.
Because it's important to ensure that your patients are not, in fact, it's those situations, strike that. Those situations require heightened professionalism and objectivity. Fair?
Fair.
Because it's important to ensure that your patients are not endangered by abuse. But it's also important to ensure that the parents of a patient are not falsely accused of abuse. Fair?
Fair.
And even just an accusation, as we've indicated, can ruin someone's life. Correct?
Correct.
So it's important to remain objective when assessing concerns for child abuse.
Correct.
It's important to approach every case where there is a concern for abuse without already having concluded that a particular parent has abused a child. Correct?
Correct.
Now, you helped coordinate the process of Alexavier being transferred from Mayo to Gunderson, correct?
Correct.
And I believe it was your testimony on direct that Josie became agitated or reacted negatively to the prospect of Alexavier initially going to Rochester. Is that fair?
That is fair.
Are you aware the family lives in the La Crosse area?
I am.
And Rochester is quite some distance away. It requires transportation, and there's a distance between those two locations, correct?
Correct.
So it would not be unreasonable to want Alexavier to go to a location that's closer to where they live. Fair?
Fair.
They could go visit him and things like that if he's hospitalized for a period of time. Correct?
Correct.
When you were coordinating the transfer process, you had several conversations with other medical providers at Mayo and Gunderson. Do you remember that?
I do.
And some of those conversations were over the phone. Is that a yes?
Yes.
And those phone conversations were recorded. Are you aware of that?
Yes, I am.
And one of those recorded calls includes a conversation you had with Dr. William Shaughnessy, or Bill Shaughnessy. You know him, right?
Not personally.
You've interacted with him,
Correct.
and you're a professional colleague of his.
Correct.
And you're aware that he's a pediatric orthopedic surgeon, correct?
Correct.
And the pediatric orthopedic surgeons are the ones who are the experts at diagnosing and treating ailments of the bone, including fractures.
Correct.
I'm going to read to you the following quote and ask you a question about it. The quote is, "There is a history of abuse. They never put her in jail, and she went on to have a lot of kids, so she's got 4 kids in the room with her today." Do you recall making that statement?
I do not recall that.
Would it help if you were to look at a transcript of your conversation with
It would.
Dr. Shaughnessy?
Five. Thank you.
I'm going to hand you an exhibit 265. And I'll give you this, and I can point to you where that particular passage is. Page 4, I believe. And if you look, just review that page. And if you look at lines 174 through 183, that's the reference I'm talking about. Ms. Hanson, have you reviewed the section I pointed you to?
I have.
And does that refresh your recollection of that conversation?
It does.
You agree that you stated there was a history of abuse. They never put her in jail, and she went on to have a lot of kids, so she's got 4 kids in the room with her today. You said that, right?
I did, but it was referring to the sentence or the paragraph before.
Pardon?
It was referring to the paragraph before when we were talking about another injury.
What I'm asking you is, did you say that?
I did say it.
And you were talking about Josie Dikeman, correct?
Correct.
And in that statement, you falsely assert that Josie has a history of abuse.
No, that is not what I asserted.
Okay. So you're unaware that Josie accepted responsibility for neglect as a 19-year-old addict and successfully completed drug court?
I am not aware of that.
Okay. And are you unaware that both she and the child's father were convicted of neglect?
I am not aware of that.
And abuse, that's not the same as neglect, is it?
Not exactly the same.
Abuse is, I mean, neglect is serious, but abuse is a whole nother matter entirely, right?
So I believe that in my
Is that a yes or
statement,
no?
abuse is not the same as neglect.
And yet you falsely state that she has a history of abuse and that you wish she had been in prison so that she could not continue having children. Is that a fair assessment of what you said?
That is not what I said.
Would you agree with me that that statement does not reflect someone who has kept an open mind?
That is not correct.
Would you agree with me that this statement does not demonstrate respectfulness?
That is not. I don't agree with that.
Would you agree that that statement does not demonstrate professionalism?
It is not.
It does not, or you do not agree?
I do not agree.
Now, you had no idea what was going on behind closed doors in that household, did you?
No.
But you had already concluded that she had abused Alexavier, right? Yes, no?
Can you repeat the question?
You had already concluded that she had abused Alexavier. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Now, you had spoken to some timeline confusion and children's statements. You relied in statements from a young child, and there was an indication that there was a fall at the school the day before, correct?
Correct.
That was inconsistent. Obviously, Sunday, you don't have school, right? Correct?
Correct.
But you did not independently verify the timeline, right?
Can you repeat the question?
You did not independently verify the timeline of all of the events, did you?
I asked Alexavier about the timeline.
So you didn't independently determine. Sometimes kids can be confused. Sometimes they mix things up, correct?
Correct.
And you did not determine when the injury actually occurred, did you?
I asked when the injury occurred, and he said the day before.
But you did not independently confirm that or corroborate that, did you?
No.
Now, you also testified that you were suspicious of, strike that. You observed scabs on the child's face, correct?
Correct.
And you testified that they were not fresh, possibly several days old?
Correct.
And you did not determine when those injuries occurred, correct?
Correct.
You did not determine what caused them, right?
Correct.
You did not determine whether they were related to the leg injury, correct?
Correct.
Now, there was a displaced femur fracture that was diagnosed, correct?
Correct.
And that was the acute fracture that he was being treated for when he came to your clinic, correct?
Correct.
And a femur fracture can occur accidentally. You're aware of that.
Correct.
And you initially believed that there were some older fractures, and I think that came from the radiology report. Is that right?
Correct.
And are you aware that later review determined that those findings were not, in fact, fractures?
That's what the radiology report said, yes.
Okay. And that was done in consultation with the pediatric orthopedist, right?
I would have to look at the records.
Perhaps this might be a time to play that video, but I can also, we were talking about Dr. Peterson.
Not today.
Okay. Okay. So we stated you believe there were older fractures, and you later determined that those, doctors later determined that those findings were not fractures. And you don't remember that?
That was outside of the scope of my clinical practice.
And if it was the case that pediatric orthopedic surgeons all concluded that those other potential healing fractures were in fact developmental conditions, you would have no basis to overrule those judgments, would you?
That's outside the realm of my clinical practice.
However, you did see this radiology report that was amended, right?
I did see that.
And it stated that after review, the findings in the right inferior pubic ramus may be developmental in etiology, right?
Correct.
Meaning not abuse,
Correct.
not an old healing fracture. Correct?
Correct, but you would have to compare to the other side.
Right. If indicated, comparison with the left ischio may be helpful for further evaluation, correct?
Correct.
And the orthopedist did that, right?
Not to my knowledge.
Now, you diagnosed no abdominal pain, right?
Correct.
No neck or back pain.
Correct.
No concerning bruising beyond normal childhood bruises, right?
He had the left flank bruising.
So no concerning bruising behind normal childhood bruises?
I did not investigate the left flank bruising. That was fresh.
And you don't know how that happened?
I do not.
Kids can get bruises just playing, right?
Correct.
Now, you contacted CPS after the x-ray, right?
Correct.
And, whenever there's a concern for non-accidental trauma, it's better safe to report if there's a concern, right?
Correct.
And reporting to CPS does not mean that abuse occurred, right?
Correct.
And CPS investigates both abuse and neglect.
Correct.
You also called police because you were unsure of the situation, is that right?
Correct.
So let's talk about your interpretation of some of the behavior that you observed. You considered it a red flag that children cried during the visit. Is that right?
I don't know that that would be a red flag. That would be normal behavior.
Okay. Yes, children often cry in medical settings, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you indicated that Josie became upset when CPS was called. Is that
Correct.
your impression? Now, reacting emotionally to a serious accusation like that does not mean someone is guilty, does it?
No.
Someone who is falsely accused of abuse would be upset as well.
Correct.
You never talked to Alex about whether he felt safe at home.
I did not.
You never asked Josie if she and Alex were safe at home, did you?
I did not.
You had no idea that Josie has multiple traumatic brain injuries, correct?
Correct.
You had no idea if Josie suffered from any conditions, including TBIs, that would affect how she reacts to stressful situations, correct?
Correct.
And you would agree that a woman who's being abused by a male partner might be reluctant to say so.
Correct.
And so, is it fair to say you assumed the worst about Miss Dikeman because of her history?
No, that is not fair.
But you did make no effort to inquire into Mr. Pedrin's history of domestic or child abuse, correct?
Correct.
Now, I believe your direct testimony, you indicated that you noticed Alexavier sort of changing tones when he would speak about certain topics, right?
Correct.
And that at one point his voice had became higher, and you found that suspicious, right?
Yes,
Now, in fact, you gave an interview to law enforcement, didn't you?
I did.
And they asked you everything you know and can remember about what happened that day, right?
Correct.
And you were trying to be complete, right?
Right.
And that was when these events were fresh in your mind, right?
Correct.
And gosh, today I think, we're at least 3 years away from that, right?
Correct.
And so what you knew at that time was the freshest perception that you had, right?
It was.
So let's just go through what I think are the conclusions here. You cannot say what caused Alexavier's leg injury, right?
Correct.
You cannot say that it was caused by intentional abuse,
Correct.
right? You certainly cannot say that Josie Dikeman intentionally fractured Alexavier's femur, right?
Correct.
Thank you.
You're not an investigator, are you?
I am not.
You make referrals to CPS and law enforcement so that they can investigate, is that correct?
Correct.
So when defense counsel asks you all these questions about whether or not you looked into it, that's not your job, is it?
Correct.
Defense counsel asked you a lot of questions about the prior case and the comments that you made on the recorded call, correct?
Correct.
You're familiar with that prior case, correct?
Correct.
And just because someone is convicted of child neglect does not mean that the child
Objection,
involved.
speculation.
Said she's familiar with the case.
This is outside the scope. There's a stipulation as to this.
Not, they opened it.
They asked about neglect.
If she was
Move on.
convicted.
I'm going to sustain the objection. Move on.
You're aware of the injuries that child had, correct?
Which child are we referring to?
Haley Tapscott, the child involved in the child neglect case.
Objection, this is far outside the scope of what she.
I can ask, the defense has opened the doors somewhat. I'm not going to let it go on for much. Go ahead.
You're aware of the injuries that child had, correct?
I am.
And you're aware that those injuries were indicative of abuse.
Yes.
Sometimes you can find abusive injuries and not figure out who did it.
Correct.
That was the history that you were aware of in the context of making that phone call, is that correct?
Correct.
That history in the context of a child with a femur fracture, correct?
Can you clarify that?
Yes, the previous medical history and case, and then you have Alexavier admitted with a femur fracture, correct?
Correct.
And you have him looking at the defendant when he's providing his history.
Correct.
The defendant told you this party was 1 day previous.
Objection, leading.
Did the defendant tell you the party was 1 day previous?
I did not specifically ask about the day. I believe they said yesterday, but I do not recall.
If it was 2 days prior, would that be concerning?
Absolutely.
And if it's reported that he couldn't walk at that party 2 days prior, would that even be more concerning?
Yes.
Thank you.
Recross.
Yes.
So just on the topic of whether or not the fracture could have borne weight. Okay. Now, Alexavier was diagnosed with a transverse fracture, right? This was an acute transverse fracture, right?
I don't believe it was transverse. I would have to look at the x-ray report.
It was a complete fracture.
It was a complete fracture, displaced.
Those certainly can be painful, right?
Correct.
Now, fractures can also be non-displaced when they initially occur, right?
Correct.
They can be incomplete.
Correct.
And those types of injuries can bear some weight, correct?
Correct.
And they can later become more aggravated, correct?
Correct.
And are you familiar with, are you aware that Dr. Shaughnessy believed that this injury could,
Calls for hearsay.
well, these would be statements made for the purpose of medical diagnosis and treatment.
Overruled. Go ahead.
Are you aware that Dr. Shaughnessy believed that this injury could initially have been non-displaced or incomplete?
I would have to look at that documentation again.
But if he did believe that, you would defer to him, right?
I would defer to him, yes.
And that would explain why somebody's injury might initially be less aggravated and then later appear to be much more aggravated, correct?
Possibly. Correct.
Thank you.
Any,
Just one question. The best way to diagnose the severity of the fracture, or one of the best ways, is to look at when the child's symptomatic, i.e. when the child can't walk. Isn't that right?
Objection beyond the scope of her expertise.
no, overruled. Go ahead.
Would that be right?
I would look more at when the child complained of pain
Pain
in conjunction with not being able to walk.
and inability to walk would also be a significant factor?
Correct.
That's all I have.
Anything else? All right. Thank you. You may step down. Oh, thank you. Call your next witness.
State calls Kim Balcars to the stand. Judge, while she's coming in, can Attorney Bowles and I approach?
Sure.
Attorney Bowles, are you doing this?
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you give in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Good afternoon. Can you please state and spell your name for the record?
Kimberly Ford, Kimberly, Ford, Ford.
I used the last name Balcars. I forgot you got married. Is that correct?
Correct,
I
yes.
apologize for that. And congratulations.
Thank you.
Where do you work?
At Gunderson by Amplify,
And what is your role with Gunderson?
registered nurse in the pediatric department
How long have you worked as a registered nurse in the pediatric department of Gunderson?
since 2018.
I want to direct your attention to January 16th of 2023. Were you working in your capacity as a pediatric nurse with Gunderson on that day?
Yes, I was.
And did you receive information about a patient coming your way by the name of Alexavier Pedrin?
Correct.
Okay. Did the initial information that you received regarding Alexavier Pedrin indicate that he had a femur fracture that was concerning for non-accidental trauma?
Correct.
Tell us about your initial interactions with both Alexavier and the family when they arrived.
On arrival, Josie Dikeman came off a little bit defensive. She was under the impression that Alexavier's leg would just be casted and they would be going home. So she was upset that they were getting admitted upstairs in the pediatric department. Alexavier was pretty quiet and let Josie answer most all of our questions for him.
Did you attempt to pose questions to Alexavier?
Yes.
What were those questions regarding?
Actually, Dr. Glowacki was the one asking questions to Alexavier in the room to start. And when she asked how Alexavier hurt his leg, he said that he slipped on ice at school yesterday. I think that was our first initial red flag because that wasn't what was told to us from the receiving hospital. And also it was Monday, so yesterday was Sunday on that day. When asked if his sister was present when he slipped on the ice, since that's what he said, he looked to Josie for, to answer that question for him. And Josie said he slipped on the ice at school and hurt his leg, so he was walking slow down the stairs and his sister pushed him since he was going slow.
Did the defendant or Ms. Dikeman give an indication of when this push down the stairs occurred?
I do not recall.
You do not recall the timing of that?
Correct.
Okay, that was the history that was provided to you by both Alexavier and the defendant? A slip on the fall of ice and then a push down the stairs?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And there was no, I think I just asked this, but there's no indication of timing relative to when that fall down the stairs occurred?
I don't recall exactly. I know they had said that they went to a birthday party between the fall and coming to the hospital, so I'm not sure if that was the same day or the day before.
Do you recall when the birthday party was or when you were told the birthday party was?
I do not recall.
Okay. Tell us about Alexavier's demeanor and what you observed of Alexavier's demeanor while he was at the hospital.
Alexavier, like I said, he was very quiet and looked to Josie for answers to questions. He didn't like to answer our questions without looking to her first or letting her answer for him.
What about the defendant's demeanor? How would you describe Josie Dikeman's demeanor?
Defensive, not typical for
having an injured child in the hospital, in my now many years of experience, usually parents are like anxious that their child is there and very grateful that for the care that is being provided. I felt right away that Josie was like blocking me from everything that I wanted to do or questioning everything that I wanted.
Objection, this is speculation and not relevant.
Overruled.
You can continue answering.
Okay. Yeah, so I would say Josie's demeanor was defensive and not protective of the child or,
She asked you for your name?
yes, Josie asked me for my last name while writing on a legal pad, and I told her that I didn't have to give her that information to care for her child.
Did you and Dr. Glowacki together document any other injuries on the outside of Alexavier's body?
Dr. Glowacki, when doing her skin assessment that we do on all children on admission, she took many photos of Alexavier's body.
And you were present for that, is that fair? If you remember?
Yeah, I don't remember.
Okay, better to talk to her about that.
Yes,
Okay.
I would prefer that.
Last question I want to ask you. Tell us a little bit about what you remember about the level of pain that Alexavier was in when you saw him on January 16th, 2023.
I feel like I can't speak to the level of pain. What sticks out in my mind is that Josie declined me giving any pain medications to Alexavier.
Objection, this is not responsive to the question. Strike that.
Sustain.
Okay.
Chuck, go ahead.
Why did you want to give Alexavier pain medication?
Because his leg was broken. If I had a broken leg, I would want some pain medication on board.
I assume above and beyond his leg being broken and it being a displaced fracture, that you were, if you wanted to give him pain medication, were you making observations that he was in pain?
Correct.
And that would help alleviate the pain that he was in?
Correct.
And you informed the defendant that you wanted to give Alexavier pain medication?
Correct.
And the response to that was what?
No.
Okay. Thank you very much. I have no further questions.
Okay. Cross.
Oh, sorry.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I understand that you were the night shift nurse, is that right?
Correct.
And so your job that night was giving bedside nursing care, not forensic investigation, right?
Correct.
And you would defer to the pediatric orthopedist on questions regarding diagnosis and treatment of fractures, right?
Correct.
That's just not a determination that you're in a position to make, right?
Correct.
And before Alex arrived, you were told there were concerns of non-accidental trauma, right?
Correct.
And you understood that there was an x-ray describing this injury as concerning, right?
Correct.
And you were told that CPS was already involved before the family arrived.
Correct.
And so you were prepared for this involving abuse concerns before you met Josie.
Yes.
Now, you testified that Josie was upset when she arrived at the hospital.
Correct.
And she believed that she had been told Alex would only need a cast and then could leave.
Yes.
Now, you explained that there was uncertainty. It could be a splint. It could require surgery.
Yes.
And surgical intervention, that can be serious, right?
Yes.
So Josie's not a medical expert, right? And medical diagnoses and treatments can be hard for the average person to understand. Is that fair?
Yes.
And are you aware that she has low cognitive functioning?
Nope.
And she was reacting to a situation that, in her mind, had started to escalate, right?
Okay.
Would that be fair? She was reacting to a situation that seemed to be escalating?
Can't speak on that for her.
Well, there was a situation that was initially, it could have been one way or the other, a splint, go home, or surgery and be hospitalized, right?
Right.
So that was an escalating response to this injury.
Okay.
And so she was reacting to that. Is that fair?
I'm not sure what she was reacting to. I feel like I can't speak to that.
But this was the context in which you had that conversation with her, right?
Yes.
Now, So Josie certainly was, it would be understandable to be upset if you're accused of abuse, falsely accused, right?
Yeah, I would think so.
And did you ever pull Josie aside to ask if she felt safe at home?
No.
How about Alex?
We asked those questions to kids when no one else is in the room, and he was not alone on my shift. So I did not get to ask Alex that.
Okay. Now, you noted some abrasions that were already healing. And you described some bruising, right?
Correct.
And you believe that the bruises were in different stages of healing?
Me and Dr. Gulaki both
I'm
made that
asking if you
conclusion.
believed that.
Yes, I do.
And are you aware that bruise appearance and color progression is highly variable and not precise?
Yeah,
And bruises can develop and inconclusive and reliably. The studies showing bruise imaging studies show that bruising cannot reliably be correlated with healing color and timing.
I'm going to object. I don't know if she's familiar with these studies.
Sustained.
Are you familiar that you cannot scientifically date a bruise just by looking at the color?
never looked into it, never studied bruises.
Now, Alex initially told you that he had slipped on ice at school, right?
Correct,
And Josie said that he had fallen down the stairs.
correct.
And his sister admitted to pushing him, right?
His sister was not present.
Oh. Are you aware that she admitted to pushing him?
No, no, never talked to her.
And you reported Alex looked to Josie before answering questions.
Correct,
And it's common for children to look at a parent before speaking to a stranger, particularly in a stressful environment, right?
correct.
And being in a hospital, being asked number of questions by strangers, that could be stressful for a kid, right?
Correct.
But you consider that a red flag, as you indicated.
Yes, I mean, we're trained to,
Yeah. And certainly, you know, as a caregiver and somebody who treats children, it's always safer to report abuse rather than to not report abuse if you are concerned, right?
absolutely.
But that does not mean that abuse actually occurred.
Correct,
And if abuse did occur, it doesn't mean we can determine who caused that, right?
correct.
Now, you described Josie as defensive, and she was intervening in your care.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, the record needs to be clear. Is that a yes?
Yes,
And she was taking notes on a yellow notepad, is that right?
correct,
She asked you for your last name,
correct.
and that to you felt threatening, perhaps, or is that what that landed like?
Yes. I've never had anybody ask me that at work before. They don't need to know that information for me to care for their child.
But she said she felt accused of seeking care, is that right?
Yes,
And in terms of writing things down, you know, if you have cognitive limitations, maybe recording your recollections at the time might be something you would want to do, right?
fair.
Would that be a fair assessment?
Yeah,
Now, let me ask you this. In this day and age with WebMD and the wide open internet where parents can educate themselves, is it sometimes a source of frustration when medical providers feel like their judgment or care is being questioned by a parent?
I feel like that's more common now than it used to be.
That can be a real source of frustration, right?
Sure,
Because you've got lots of kids to take care of.
correct,
And, you know, your time is valuable and it has to be, you know, split by all of the different cases, all of the different admissions, right?
correct.
Did you ever happen to see what she was documenting?
No,
And with the CPS investigation, that's, you know, a legal process, right?
correct.
And so recording what you think or perceive or are learning can help document the progression of that investigation. Is that fair?
Yeah,
And you would agree being accused of abuse is stressful, right?
I would agree.
Reacting emotionally to a serious accusation like that doesn't mean someone is guilty, does it?
No,
Someone who is falsely accused would be upset as well, right?
right?
Now, we understand that Alex was not spoken to. He apparently didn't have any alone time while you were caring for him. Is that fair?
Yes.
And we've established that you're not familiar with Josie's history of multiple TBIs or whether she had suffered PTSD or any other condition that would affect how she reacts to stressful situations?
I would not know that, no.
And would you agree that a woman who is being abused by a male partner sometimes would be reluctant to be forthcoming about what's happening in the house?
Sorry, can you ask that again?
Would you agree that a woman who is being abused by a male partner sometimes might be reluctant to talk about what's happening in that house?
Yeah.
Especially if the abuser was present?
Correct.
So, you rely on what other folks tell you is your job, that no one person can do this job, right? It's a group effort.
Sorry, can you ask that again?
You rely on other people's representations to you, other colleagues, staff. You rely on their representations because this is a team effort and you have to rely on your colleagues, right?
Correct.
And you believed Alex's initial statement was in the doctor's notes, correct?
Sorry, what are you asking?
Did you learn a lot of what happened from the doctor's notes about the case? Did you learn about the case by reading the doctor's notes about what had occurred prior to his arrival?
Like from the other hospital, or what are you at?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is you were reading the medical records and establishing your knowledge based on what was put in some of those notes, right?
No, I received a phone call from the other facility
Okay.
letting us know their concerns.
Just basic conversations mostly.
Yes.
Okay. And so it'd be fair to say, though, that significant parts of your testimony were dependent on statements by others and not firsthand knowledge on your part. Is that fair?
Which others are you talking about?
Well, I'm saying that some of the statements that you received were secondhand. Is that right?
I just got a brief report from the other hospital stating their concerns.
You're obviously concerned. That's legitimate, right? But that's from what you had been reported, right?
I had a fair warning that others were concerned, but I had a lot of concerns of my own.
Now, did you have any knowledge of the radiology report or the impressions of the radiologist?
Yes.
Okay. And are you aware that some of the initially concerning findings were later determined to be developmental conditions?
Judge, I will stipulate that the original belief that there was a pubic fracture was found to be an abnormality and was ultimately ruled not to be a fracture.
As well as the
stipulate to that for every witness.
As well as the tibia findings? Yes.
I don't think he asked about the tibia findings. I want to review that to make sure, but
Those were included in the constellation of findings in the radiology report.
So, okay, just if she was aware of them or not,
Okay.
and they were amended, we all agree that they were later amended, so.
Are you aware that the pediatric orthopedist at Mayo, Dr. Shaughnessy, believed that the injury could be consistent with a fall?
Nope, that was not what I was told.
So you were not told that that this orthopedist believed that it could be consistent with a fall? You just weren't aware of that? Okay.
I wasn't aware, nope.
So you weren't aware that, did you know Dr. Peterson, John Peterson?
As an employee, yes.
And he was a very well-respected pediatric orthopedic surgeon at Gunderson, is that right?
Correct.
And sadly, he's passed away last year.
Correct.
But he was he was certainly a well-respected expert.
Judge, I'm going to object to him testifying to the reputation of another doctor. If you want to put in reputation evidence, do it, but it should come in through him.
We'll hear from him. I'll move on.
Okay.
Okay. And are you familiar with Colton Wagner?
No.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Okay, any redirect?
Just briefly, You were asked a number of questions about domestic violence and how people react to domestic violence, correct?
Correct.
This wasn't involving domestic violence, right?
No.
This didn't involve anything with regards to the defendant being a victim of something, did it?
No.
And if the defendant has concerns about a TBI and you're not aware of her TBI, she could also tell you about that, right?
Correct.
It's not your responsibility to find everything you don't know about somebody. Is that fair?
Correct.
You were asked questions about what may have been stressful for Alexavier when he was in the room, correct?
Yes.
We don't know what was going on in Alexavier's mind, do we?
Nope.
Those are all questions that are made to speculate about what he may have been feeling at that time when you were seeing him, correct?
Correct.
Now, another thing that we could speculate about is maybe he was the victim of child abuse and the abuser was in the room and he didn't want to talk, right?
Sustain, and you say it's speculation, so I'd ask you not to ask sustain. Go ahead. Any recross? Any recross? Nope. All right. Thank you, Maida. Sit down. I don't need any exhibits. You step down.
Thank you.
Completed autopsy report done for Alexavier Pedrin,
Yes, it was.
and was that done by you?
Yes.
Would you recognize that document if you were to see it in court today?
Yes.
Hey, before we can begin, can you just come on up for a second?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Permission to approach?
Yeah, go right ahead.
I'm handing you a spin marked as State's Exhibit number 27. Can you review that and let me know when you're done?
Okay.
Is State's Exhibit 27 a copy of your autopsy protocol report for Alexavier Pedrin?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I'd move 27 in evidence.
No objection.
Who received?
Before we start diving into the specifics of the autopsy for Alexavier Pedrin, I want to talk about the classifications that you can make for the manner of death. There are, as I understand it, 5 different classifications. Is that correct?
That's correct.
What are those 5 different classifications? Can you explain those to the jury, please?
Sure. So when we look at a death certificate, medical examiners have to look at filling out cause of death and manner of death. And the manner of death is a medical opinion that's composed of 5 options. So those are basically natural, so natural disease, accident, homicide, suicide, or in some cases undetermined.
And those are the 5 options that you have when you reach manner of death. Is that fair?
Correct.
Okay. Cause of death can be many things. Is that also fair?
Yes.
One of the options that you mentioned was homicide as a manner of death, correct?
Yes.
And I just want to give an example. A manner of death can be ruled homicide. Homicide in your world means death at the hands of another person, correct?
It's either due to the actions or inactions of another person, yes.
Actions or inactions of another person. So for example, if someone were frustrated with me and I tried attacking them and they shot me in self-defense, them shooting me in self-defense could be ruled a homicide, but it may be legally justified if it was actually self-defense, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So you can have different outcomes from your determination from a medical perspective and a legal perspective.
Absolutely, and we have the opposite occur quite frequently in motor vehicle accidents. So by definition, most of those, unless there's intent that we have Those are called accidents, so if someone strikes another vehicle, but those can be prosecuted as vehicular homicide or whatever. So there's a distinction between the medical terminology and the legal terminology.
For example, if I were driving drunk and I caused an accident by my drunk driving and the passenger in my car died, I could
Correct.
be legally responsible, but it would be declared by a medical examiner an accident.
That's correct.
Okay. I want to talk now about the specifics of performing the autopsy for Alexavier Pedrin. What was the date that this autopsy was performed on?
The autopsy date was February 13th
February 13th?
of
This is
2023.
2 days after the death of Alexavier Pedrin.
Correct.
Okay. When you are conducting the autopsy, do you get background information about the circumstances of the death?
Yes, I do.
Did you have that in this case?
Yes.
What was the background information that you had prior to performing the autopsy?
So prior to performing the autopsy, we usually get sort of a compiled narrative that is from one of our local death investigators who speaks to the family, speaks to law enforcement, kind of gets the information they need to give us an idea of what the case is about. It's certainly not all-encompassing or all-inclusive, and other information may show up as we go. But in general, we knew at the very beginning of the case that the child was found unresponsive at home, and that there were some pill containers near the body, and that was the main thing, and that basically he was dead on scene and not transported to the hospital.
Okay, so he was found unresponsive at home. There was a pill container or more found on scene, and he was declared deceased on scene.
Correct.
Okay. That was the basic information that you had.
Yes.
I want to talk now about the examination of Alexavier's body from the outside perspective. What is the first thing that you took note of when you were examining Alexavier Pedrin's body as a whole from the outside?
I think some of the things that stand out at the very beginning, just doing the cursory beginning of the external examination, is number one, that he had a cast on his right leg. And we didn't have at that time too much information about that, but there was a hard cast. And then also, as we removed the clothing, just in general, he had sort of a look of, I won't say malnourishment, but just dehydration. So you could see the ribs pretty prominently, the eyes were kind of sunken. And then there were a lot of bruises and other injuries that we'll describe later, but overall, that was what we saw.
With regards to the dehydration, the sunken eyes, and the pronouncement of the rib cage, what, if anything, did that tell you from a medical perspective?
That he didn't seem to have enough fluids at the time. Now, that could be that he wasn't receiving them or that he was sick. You know, it's hard to say in a vacuum without knowing anything else, but he certainly didn't seem well hydrated.
If this was a child that was reported to have COVID relatively recently, that could be one potential cause for that presentation or a contributing factor.
Could, if the COVID was causing him to have vomiting spells or something like that, then maybe. But if they're still eating and drinking properly, then probably not. So.
Then you wouldn't expect to see that type of pronouncement with the ribs or the sunken eyes?
Not necessarily. You'd have to have some reason. Either they're not taking in enough fluids and food, or they're vomiting, having diarrhea, something like that. So it could be related to COVID, depending on how you react to COVID.
I want to talk now about your examination and documentation of the injuries on the outside of Alexavier's body. Did the number of bruises on Alexavier's body stand out to you?
Yes.
Did the location of those bruises stand out to you?
Yes.
Did the frequency of the bruises in different locations stand out to you?
Yes.
Okay. You would recognize photographs from the autopsy if you were to see them in open court today?
Yes, I would.
Okay, I'm going to show you what's been marked as States Exhibits 29 through 56. Your Honor, the record should reflect that States Exhibit 57 is also a PowerPoint that contains these very same photographs. Doctor, I'd ask you to review 29 through 56 and let me know. Do State's Exhibits 29 through 56 fairly and accurately capture the outside physical condition of Alexavier Pedrin's body on February 13th of 2023 when you performed the autopsy?
Yes.
I'd move 29 through 56 into evidence.
No objection?
Received?
Permission to publish.
Objection?
I'd ask that I'll need control for the PowerPoint for 57, please. Oh, PowerPoint is 28. I'm sorry. That's my fault. Dr. Quinn, can you see the screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay. You see the first photograph that's being displayed for the jury?
Yes.
Okay, is that the first photograph that you have in your stack?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Can you describe to the jury what we see in this particular photograph? You have the number, so if you could help me give me what number this is.
Sure. This is exhibit number 29. This represents what we would consider our identification photo at the time of autopsy. So on every case, we always do an identifying shot that just shows the features of the face from directly on.
In this photograph, explain to the jury the injuries that we can observe on Alexavier's face.
So there are a number of bruises and a healing, a healing laceration on the right eyebrow. So kind of going from top down, I don't have a pointer, but still. Right in the middle of the forehead near the hairline is one bruise. You see a cluster of bruises around the right eye. So basically very lateral on the eyebrow is a healing laceration or basically tear of the skin with a contusion around that. Contusions are just bruises. And then the upper and lower eyelids, basically you see those area on the right eyelids, those areas of red, those are both bruises on the upper and lower eyelid. There's two bruises on the right side of the chin as well, one a little bit more linear down at the bottom and one that's a little more circular, a little higher than that. Just in general too, you can also make out that those eyes, the orbits seem to be kind of sunken as well, which we talked about earlier.
Can you make out in this photograph any injuries to Alexavier's neck?
There's two on the left side of the neck, right along the edge of the mandible. You can barely see them in this photo. There's also a little tiny abrasion, little line on the right side of the neck. But really, the ones that I documented were on the left side of the neck, right under the mandible.
And you talked to us about a case number when the body is received. Is that what we see on the ruler in the bottom of this photograph?
Yes, it is. So we will try to make sure that that number, that case number is on every photo that we take.
Right. If we can move on to the next photograph. Doctor, again, I'm going to ask your indulgence in helping me with what number this is in the photographs in front of you.
Sure. So this is exhibit number 30, showing some of the same injuries that we saw in the last image, but this is on the right side of the face, so a lateral shot. You see the two bruises of the chin that I described earlier. Similarly, that mark on the lateral, so outside portion of the right eyebrow, which was that healing laceration we talked about earlier. A little bit of the bruising of the upper and lower eyelids, but also there's a sort of a little vertical linear abrasion on the side of the face here, which in the report would be described as sort of the zygomatic region of the face. And I think that's most of what is shown in this image.
When we're talking about bruising, doctor, it's fair to say that bruises cannot be dated with any medical precision. Is that correct?
That's correct. There used to be old textbooks and things like that that would make an attempt to do it, but honestly, we're very, very cautious. The only things we'll ever say, we'll describe them. So we'll say if they're red or purple, those tend to be kind of quote unquote fresh, but we don't say, we're never going to say it's an hour, 2 hours, things like that.
Okay. Fair to say that we expect bruising to show up within hours of an assault, though. Would that be fair?
That is fair in most cases, yes.
Okay. In this photograph of the right side of Alexavier's face, can we also start to see bruising in his hairline?
Yes, you can. So I mentioned earlier that there's one in the middle of the forehead. We're now looking a little bit on the right side of the forehead, and you can make out the beginnings of one bruise there.
When we're examining bruises on someone's body and we're examining whether they could be from accidental means or inflicted means, is it important to look at the number of the bruises?
Absolutely.
Why is that?
Well, so any one circumstance of blunt force trauma, so just a bruise or a scrape or something like that, could be from any number of things, and you could come up with many explanations. So if you're looking at each one individually, unless they are distinctly patterned, you can't really say what they're from necessarily. So then we also rely on the sort of distribution, where they're located, and then also the number. So in kids or adults, for that matter, when people fall, hit their head, they tend to hit areas that are sort of bony prominences and things that stick out. So especially in kids, you're going to typically see things, they're going to have bruises on their elbows, bruises on their knees, things like that are kind of accepted to be sort of classically accidental, although, again, they could be inflicted. But when we look at the totality of the number of injuries, that's where we start to sort of accumulate data to decide at what point is this too much to be what we would accept as just accidental.
When we talk about children and bruising on children, are you familiar with the term of protected areas and not protected areas?
Yes.
What does that refer to?
So basically, it kind of goes back to what I was talking about earlier with bony prominences. So there are some things that just stick out that are naturally the places that people will hit, and then there's other areas that are much more protected. So for instance, inner thighs, gluteal folds, folds that normally you would have to have some access to get to damage.
And we talked about it a little bit earlier, but looking at this photograph, can you help us understand when you have bruising on different planes, what does that mean? Different planes of the body, different planes of the face?
Right, so the locations here are sort of multiple. We've got forehead, eyebrow, eyelids, which is unusual. That would be more of a protected space. Chin, again, each and every one of these, except for maybe the eyelids, would be something that you might typically see in another scenario, like somebody fell and hit their head. But all of these in constellation are a lot of different injuries. So you would have to have a reason to have that many different injuries.
When we look at this photo of Alexavier, we can say that there's been multiple blows. Is that fair?
That's fair. There's at least 5 or 6 points of impact just in this one image.
Okay. If we can move to the next photograph, which is the left side of the face. Nope, I apologize. It's a close-up of the right eye.
Correct. And this close-up, which is Exhibit 31, shows the upper and lower eyelid. Again, that red discoloration is bruising. That edge of the eyebrow where we've got the healing laceration, and a little bit of the bruising in the hairline as well, plus that small abrasion on the outside of the face.
Dr. Quinn, I place in front of you a laser pointer, if that is helpful to you at any point. I believe it's the circle button in the middle.
Got it.
All right, if we can move on to the next photograph, please. What do we see? This is 32?
This is Exhibit 32. Not nearly as many injuries on this side of the face, although we do see the 2 little linear abrasions that were underneath the mandible, so the angle of the chin there, or not chin, but jaw, that are extending onto the neck.
And again, this would be a completely opposite side of the head, a different plane altogether than what we looked at in 30 and 31.
Correct.
Okay. Say Exhibit 33.
So Exhibit 33, unfortunately on cases like this, we oftentimes have to shave the scalp so that we can actually see beyond the hair to assess the injuries. So in this case, we're actually looking at the top of the head straight down. So the top where the case number is would actually be the forehead, and then the bottom of the screen where the hair still is intact would be the back of the head. And so we're looking at several more contusions on the top and the side of the scalp, basically a large kind of 6 centimeter red contusion or bruise that's on the right frontal scalp, just slightly to the right of midline, and then also a separate bruise on the what we would call the right parietal scalp with a little abrasion over it.
Again, different planes than the other photographs that we looked at previously.
Correct.
Takes Exhibit 34. What do we see in this photograph?
Okay, so 34 is the scalp a little bit more shaved and on the side. So we're again looking at the right side of the scalp and face again. You can still make out that healing laceration that's over the eyebrow, but now you can see a little bit better the different areas of bruising. There are a few of these darker dots or little abrasions or scrapes, but then the red areas are all what we would call, again, contusions.
One of the dark spots that you pointed to I took to be a mole or a birthmark. That's not a mole or a birthmark?
If you're talking about this one right above the ear, that's another abrasion.
That's an abrasion?
Yes.
Okay, and it's in a circular pattern?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any bruising also in the ear?
I don't recall there being any in the ear. There is a little bit of red discoloration, but I think that's mostly lividity.
Okay. What's the difference between lividity and a bruise? First, can you explain what lividity is to the jury?
Sure. So when someone dies, their circulation stops, so their heart stops beating. When that happens, all the blood in your body just pools towards gravity. So you will see a patchy red discoloration on the parts of the body that are dependent towards gravity. So in many cases, if the body is laying face up, then everything will pool towards the back. And so you'll see this kind of dark red or patchy red discoloration. So that's what we mean by lividity.
In a little bit, we're going to see pictures of Alexavier's back. You as a medical professional have training on how to differentiate bruising from lividity?
Yes, and sometimes it can be difficult, which is why we will look under the skin as well. Particularly in his case, in the back, there are some areas that look a little concerning for a bruise, but then underneath it's really not. It's just that pooled blood.
Okay. We'll talk about that a little bit more when we get to those photographs. I think we were on 33?
So this one is 34.
34. So if we can move on to State's Exhibit 35. Now this is 35, 36, and 37 in
Correct.
sequential order. Is that correct?
That is correct. So yeah, these are basically kind of rotating around the back of the head, and again, having to shave hair. Most of these areas that you see that are the red discoloration are more areas of bruising. A lot of that is confirmed when we reflect the scalp, so when we actually make an incision in the scalp to get to the skull later, we will see bruising underneath the scalp to kind of confirm that these are bruises and not just lividity. But yeah, so you can see kind of the patchy red discoloration. And there's
Those
also,
would be additional planes, additional blows?
correct.
Okay. Can we move on to the next slide, please?
Okay.
38.
This is 38. So anterior neck image and under the chin. Basically, there was a linear bruise under the chin here. The two linear abrasions that we noted earlier along the jawline, and then it's not in the report, but that little tiny scrape there too.
Were there any injuries inside of Alexavier's mouth that you noted?
No, there were none in the mouth. So we do look at the gums, the inner mucosa of the mouth, because if someone is struck in the face, they might tear their inner lips up against their teeth. There's nothing like that. We also did what we call an anterior neck dissection, which is looking layer by layer by layer through each layer of the musculature of the neck, just to look for any additional bruising that might be related to something like strangulation, which there was none in this case.
You didn't find any of that bruising inside the layers of the neck?
No.
Okay. You can, to be fair, Dr. Quinton, you can strangle someone and not have those bruises appear. Is that true?
That is true, yes.
Okay. And you can cut off oxygen to a child by means other than choking them through the neck. Is that also true?
That is true.
Okay. We can move on to the next image. These are, can you help me orient with the numbers on these, please, Doctor?
Yes, so these would be exhibits 39, 40, and 41.
Okay, I'll start with 39. What do we see in States 39?
So all of these images are showing us the anterior chest and abdomen, but 39, the first one on the left-hand side of the screen, is just representing the right side of the chest. There were a cluster of bruises that we could see on the chest wall here. There were about 3 or 4 that you can make out in this image, maybe another one down there. You can also note in both of these just the prominence of the ribs as well.
And in the last photograph, can we notice the prominence of even the arms and the sunken eyes?
Yes. I will note, though, in your images here, this one's reversed. I'm not sure how that happened in PowerPoint, but this image is actually reversed. So if you notice, the number is backwards, and all of these bruises should be on the right side.
Oh, I do see that. Okay.
So the only other thing I was going to note is the mild green discoloration on the abdomen. That is not an injury. That is another postmortem artifact. So there was a little bit of a delay between the time that he died and the time that we did the autopsy, and in that time we are seeing some postmortem changes. So that faint green discoloration is just early decompositional change.
So that's a natural
That's a natural
process.
phenomenon, yes.
Okay. What can you tell us about the frequency of bruises that we see in these three images?
So again, they're kind of clustered. There's at least, like we said, up on the chest here, a cluster of about at least 4 of them here. There's one over what we call the xiphoid process in the middle of the chest. There's also one that I think we have another image of that's over the left shoulder as well. So multiple points of impact, different locations.
And the record should reflect, Your Honor, that the very last image, Doctor, what number is the very last image?
The last image is 41.
41 does have a black box over the genitalia of Alexavier. The images that are being admitted into evidence do not have that, but I was taking caution in using these in an open court. All right, if we can move on to the next image.
Okay. The next images are all of the right upper extremity, so the right arm. These are 42, 43, and 44. We have in the image to the left of the screen, basically the arm is raised, and we're looking at 2 areas of bruising on the inner right arm and inner right forearm, basically 2 of them in parallel on the forearm, and then one larger one on the arm. The small round bruise, this is on the opposite side of the forearm, the right forearm, that's in the middle image. And then image number 44, which is on the right side of the screen, is basically just a close-up of the bruising that we see on this arm.
When we were talking about protected areas before, this is on the inside of Alexavier's arm, what we see in the first and third image on the PowerPoint on this slide. Is that correct?
So I think of extremities as sort of a mixed bag. Obviously, if you fall, you're going to land on the outer surfaces, but that doesn't mean that you can't do something accidental to injure the inner surfaces. So mechanistically, I'm not sure if I would include some of these as some of those protected areas, but certainly more protected than the outside, the outer surfaces.
And upper arm, even more so from a fall, depending?
It just depends.
It all depends. Okay. Next slide, please.
Okay.
What numbers are these, Doctor?
These are numbers 45, 46, and 47. The number 45 on the left-hand side of the screen is sort of a combined abrasion and contusion it's kind of on the upper left side of the back near the, or excuse me, right side of the back near the left arm, if I'm looking at that one correctly. This middle image is looking down at the left shoulder. So the body is going downward from here. The knee is down at the bottom of the screen. So that's just a bruise over the left shoulder. And then the image on the right-hand side of the screen, which would be Exhibit 47, is another bruise on the left forearm.
Again, multiple different areas of the arm, correct?
Correct.
Including the top of the shoulder?
Correct.
All right, if we can move on to the next slides, please. What do we see in these 3 images?
Okay, so these are all images of the back. This would be Exhibits 48, 49, and 50. Again, this one's a little bit more complex because there's multiple things we're looking at. Some of this is bruising, but a lot of this patchy red discoloration is that lividity I talked about earlier. So especially as we move up the back on the left-hand image, which is sort of the far away image, you can see there's an area of distinct bruising over the buttock region, right near the cleft in the middle. But then this area sort of just above that looked to be another bruise. It really turned out just to be more lividity. Some of this is patchy. This is all patchy lividity above the waistline as well. But then this other sort of circular or 2 circular lesions here on the right side of the back, which is close up in the middle image, that is a bruise, but it's more of a brownish bruise instead of red. So this would be maybe something a little bit in later stages of healing. We haven't really talked too much about the different colors of the injuries, but if they're brown, they tend to have been around a little bit longer. You also can make out in several of these images that there are some scars. So there's a scar of the lower right side of the back and a little linear scar right above the buttock. Can't make out what those are from. A little bit unusual location because, again, a little bit more protected than some other areas that you would expect to see scarring on.
All right, next image, please. What numbers are these 3 images, Doctor?
So these are all the left leg. We're looking at exhibits 51, 52, and 53. So going from top down, if you look at the left-hand side of the screen, this is the left thigh and the left knee. And then these are just images that kind of focus in on the different areas. But the left thigh has a large cluster of bruises, sort of on the anterior, so front of the left leg, but also, or left thigh, but also on the inner part of the left thigh, because this is rotated sort of to show the inner surface. We also see some scrapes on the left knee as well, some circular abrasions on the left knee, and then two linear abrasions on the medial aspect of the left knee, so the inside of the left knee as well. The other two images basically just highlight those injuries.
When you're examining the circular abrasions to the knee, does that give you any pause or concern for inflicted injury?
It's really hard to say. The ones on the knee itself could just be falling and scraping your knee. So it may be of all things, it doesn't look patterned. Of all things, that might be, one of the few injuries that I'd expect to see on a kid who's 6 years old.
From a fall?
Yeah.
Okay. But the other bruising that you described on the upper portion of the thigh, it's a little bit on the inside of the thigh, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, that's obviously more concerning.
That's much more concerning, yes.
Okay. Next image, please. What number is this and what do we see here?
This is exhibit number 54. This was a bruise. So basically we're looking at the left side of the body. The buttock is on the top of the screen. The left leg is right below that. So it's one prominent red bruise sort of on the lateral aspect of the left buttock.
Okay. Next
Or,
image,
excuse me,
please.
I'm sorry, I keep saying left, that's right. That's right. My apologies.
Next image, please. And this is a picture of the thorax from the right side?
This is a picture of the thorax from the right side, exhibit number 55. Again, the prominence of the ribs is noted here, but there's a cluster of two bruises on the lateral side of the body.
Some bruising might be expected when CPR is performed, is that correct?
Yes, but this would be a very strange location for that.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. This is not where CPR would be expected to be performed, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And they've already had the benefit of seeing the CPR in this case. We'll move on to the next image, please.
Okay, and this is image or exhibit number 56. This is of the left hand, and very specifically two areas of bruising. This area right at the base, sort of at the base between the left thumb and the left index finger. Part of this extends onto what we call the thenar eminence of the left hand. And then another bruise that's sort of on the back of the left hand as well, what we would call the dorsum of the left hand.
Is that the last image?
That is the last image I have up here.
Okay. When you are looking at the number, nature, and frequency of the bruises on the outside of Alexavier Pedrin's body, tell us what your impression is of all those injuries before you even start the internal examination.
Well, the constellation of all the findings externally was too many injuries to account for just an accidental fall or something like that. So this looked as a constellation of finding like inflicted trauma.
When you're practicing medicine, is it important to look at the patient or in this case, the body that's in front of you and examine the totality of the circumstances?
Absolutely.
Okay, you would never look at and examine one finding in a vacuum, is that fair?
Correct.
That's not the practice of medicine.
No.
So the number, nature, and frequency of the bruises that you observe just on the outside of the body would be consistent with multiple blunt force injuries inflicted by another person?
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk about your internal examination of Alexavier Pedrin now. What did you find when you performed the internal autopsy?
Sure. So it depends on where you're looking, but the internal examination, if we just start from the head and work our way down, basically reflection of the scalp, as I said before, kind of confirmed the multiple bruises and impact sites that we saw externally. But then once we opened the skull, there was no evidence of a skull fracture or anything like that, but there was evidence of prominent swelling of the brain itself, but no bleeding internally or anything like that. Moving down the body into the trunk, or do you want me to?
Can I stop real
Please.
quick and talk about the swelling of
Yes.
the swelling of the brain, what is the name for that?
So basically, cerebral edema is what that is. It's basically just fluid accumulation that expands the brain itself. The brain, when it swells, that is pretty much the only reaction that the brain has to anything. So any kind of insult to the brain potentially is going to make it swell, or there'll be cerebral edema.
Is that referred to as hypoxic ischemic injury?
So hypoxic ischemic injury is sort of the end description pathologically, but yeah, when we first start out, we just look at it and call it swelling. It's just cerebral edema. But then microscopically, we can confirm that there's hypoxic ischemic injury, looking at is there damage to the cells, things like that.
Okay. Many things can cause brain swelling. Is that fair?
Yes.
Trauma to the brain
Yes.
from a blow to the head?
Yes.
A lack of oxygen to the brain?
Yes.
A slowing down of our system that delivers oxygen to the brain?
Yes.
Okay, all of those things can result in that same brain swelling that we see.
Yes.
Is there any way for you to medically determine if one or multiple causes led to the swelling of Alexavier's brain?
In this particular case, no.
Okay, so it could be one of those things, it could be a combination of all of those things together.
Yes.
And in this case, we already know there's been multiple blows to the body, correct?
Correct.
Including to the head.
Yes.
Okay. When we experience a concussion, when we refer to a concussion, what is that's happened to our body?
So a concussion is very similar. So you have a blow or sharp movement of the head that kind of stretches, if you will, the neurofibers within the brain itself, but it doesn't break anything. So a concussion usually, given time, will resolve itself and the brain will go back and kind of go back to normal, quote unquote. That's very different from if we had blunt trauma that actually sheared some of those neurons, which would then not necessarily be able to heal because neurons don't heal like that. So it's a little bit of a difference. But concussion is sort of a transient injury.
When I think of, as a layman of concussions, it makes me think of the NFL and how the National Football League examines concussions. They look for symptoms by talking to a person and examining them from the outside. Is that fair?
That's fair.
Is that one of the first ways that one can look at or try and assess if someone has suffered blunt force trauma and may be suffering a concussion?
Yes.
Okay. We were going to move down from the head downward in Alexavier's body. What's the next injury that you detected in Alexavier's body?
Sure. So doing the examination of the torso, basically chest and abdominal cavities, there weren't many injuries of the upper torso. So basically heart was fine, lungs were fine. Once we move beyond that, the next sort of layer is the diaphragm that actually separates both the upper and lower cavities. And there was some bruising on the right hemidiaphragm, so the right half of the diaphragm. Below that, within the abdomen, the first thing we noticed on opening the abdomen was that there was free blood in the abdominal cavity, so what we would call the peritoneal cavity. We collected it. We were able to collect about 100 milliliters of free blood in there. That's not a ton of blood, but I mean, it's a substantial amount. And then after we kind of got past that, there was both what we would call a subcapsular hemorrhage of the liver itself. So basically the liver has a capsule, and a subcapsular hemorrhage would be kind of like a bruise under the capsule, but it's sort of retained in that capsule so it doesn't go out into the abdomen. There was also a laceration or tear of the liver itself. There was also a lot of hemorrhage around the duodenum, which is the very first part of the small intestine, and the head of the pancreas. And all of these things, for the most part, sit sort of within the midline of the abdomen. Let's see. I've already described the liver laceration and the free blood. Oh, and then examination of the abdominal, or the chest wall, I should say. I said there were no injuries of the lungs or the heart, but once we were able to visualize the ribs, there was evidence of one recent fracture of the left 10th rib posteriorly, so basically along the back.
Posterior is the back, left side back, 10th rib.
Correct.
Okay. And you said that that's a recent fracture based on your examination. When I think of talking about rib fractures, I think of talking about them as acute and subacute in a live child. Do you use those same terminologies?
We'll use acute, subacute, organizing, or remote.
Okay. When we talk about an acute fracture in a child, whether alive or deceased, really all you can do is date it within a certain number of days, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so you can't date a rib fracture to hours.
No.
Okay. It could have happened anytime prior to that child being deceased.
Well, depending on what it looks like. So if it's a very acute fracture, which basically means there is a break in the rib with hemorrhage, but no evidence of healing whatsoever, that's a shorter time frame. So you can't look at that and say, oh, that happened 3 weeks ago, because it would have evidence of healing. But we can look at this and say it's fairly recent, meaning, probably within the last 24 to 48 hours, but that would, still, it's a very wide range.
Rib fractures are painful.
Yes.
They hurt when you breathe.
Yes.
In some cases of children and adult, you maybe see a rib fracture in the front of a child related to CPR. Is that correct?
Less commonly in children, only because their ribs are soft and pliable, so there's a lot more cartilage depending on how young they are. But sometimes you still can see rib fractures in CPR, even in children. But when you do see them in adults or children related to CPR, they tend to be what we would say is sort of either anterior or anterolateral, so they kind of are right along these lines.
They're not posterior rib fractures.
Typically, no.
And this is it a higher up or lower fracture in the back, the 10th rib?
It's low in the thoracic cavity. It's kind of mid-back if you were looking at the back.
The liver laceration that Alexavier had, that was approximately 3 centimeters, is that correct?
Correct.
Is that a serious injury?
Yes.
Were the internal injuries to Alexavier's abdomen life-threatening injuries for him?
Not immediately, but they could have been. So, meaning if that liver laceration went unattended, it might heal on its own over time, or it might get progressively worse and continue to bleed. Similarly, injuries to the duodenum, so the small intestine, or the pancreas, both of those could become worse over time. So as they react, as they start to try to heal, they oftentimes are in a very vulnerable state and can potentially get worse before they get better.
In your experience, would these have been painful injuries?
Yes.
Would the pain have gotten worse over time?
Yes, most likely.
Would the individual who is suffering from these injuries not want to move as that pain progressed?
It's very difficult to say for any given individual, and when you say not want to move, that's a pretty broad stroke. So I would say they would be less active potentially than normal, but I wouldn't be able to say if they would just be laying in bed and not want to move versus maybe not as active as classic.
That pain would become more pronounced over time?
I would imagine so, yes.
Would you expect the symptoms to be obvious to a caretaker?
Yes.
What is the mechanism for the injuries to the internal organs, the duodenum, the lacerated liver? What type of force is necessary to cause those injuries?
So all of these are from, you've heard us use the term already, blunt force trauma. Blunt force is just basically an object striking an object. It's not a gunshot wound. It's not related to a blade. It's just a crushing blow or a scraping type blow. So that being said, the mechanism in this case is classically, basically, if you receive a blow to the abdomen or the upper abdomen, lower chest, whichever, anything in between the object, be it a hand, be it a foot, whatever, and the underlying spinal column, which is rigid, anything in between those two things could potentially get injured. So all of these things that we're seeing sit right in the midline. So the liver laceration, the injuries to the duodenum, the injuries to the pancreatic head, every one of these is in line in the center between the abdominal wall outside and the spine on the inside.
Can the injuries that we see in Alexavier's abdomen result from one penetrating blow to his abdomen, more penetrating blows, or can you not differentiate based on what you see medically?
So first, I just want to caution the use of the word penetration, because that to us that means actually going through the skin.
Oh,
So,
I'm using the word different, I mean it differently than you do, so thank you for clarifying.
sure. It could be just from one blow, it could be from several blows. It's anything that would be striking the midline.
You mentioned that these were life-threatening injuries for Alexavier. Can you explain that process a little bit, how these would be life-threatening?
So there's several things that could cause this to become much worse. Number one, bleeding. The liver is very, very vascular. It likes to bleed. So again, unchecked, could this heal on its own? Maybe, but it could also bleed and get worse. In addition, the injuries to the small intestine and the pancreas, over time, particularly the pancreas, as the pancreas becomes inflamed, you can start to see a lot of very crucial problems with that. The patients oftentimes may go into shock or multi-organ failure, depending on how badly that progresses. The duodenum might heal on its own again, but also very potentially could perforate if the wall is weakened as it's trying to heal. And so then you run into a situation where maybe a couple of days after the event, now the person becomes acutely much more ill, and it's because the contents of whatever they're trying to eat are now spilling out into the abdomen because of the damage to the duodenum. So several different mechanisms for how those things could potentially be life-threatening.
Doctor, did we cover all the internal injuries that you documented in performing the internal autopsy for Alexavier Pedrin?
I believe we did, yes.
Okay. One of the other portions of the autopsy that you mentioned was toxicology and histology examination.
Correct.
Let's talk about toxicology examination. What were the results of toxicology for Alexavier?
So on his tox, I believe there were only two things that we detected. There was melatonin and alprazolam, which is commonly known as Xanax.
Was there caffeine detected or no?
I have to go back and look. I don't recall, but it could be. Give me one moment here.
Sure.
See, there was a presumptive positive on our screen for caffeine. I don't remember if that was verified or not. So I can't tell you for sure.
There was a presumptive positive, meaning that a screen test positive for that, but there was no confirmation.
There was no confirmation, correct.
Okay. And caffeine's not a lethal or dangerous substance?
In most instances, no.
Okay. I want to talk about the Xanax levels that were detected in Alexavier. What were those levels?
So the levels were 250 nanograms per milliliter, although I say that with caution for both of these drugs because we're testing basically the blood that we collected within the abdominal cavity, so that free blood we described earlier. It's very difficult to get good blood samples in children to begin with post-mortem, and so oftentimes our sample size is pretty small, and this was the best we could get. The reason I mention all this is because cavity blood is not the best sample to use to accurately assess the levels of a drug. It's much better just to assess plus or minus. So is it there or is it not there? That level of Xanax is high, in the high range, but again, I can't tell you with much certainty what that translates to in this case.
What type of drug is Xanax or alprazolam?
It's an anti-anxiety medication.
What does it do to our system when we ingest?
So it's a benzodiazepine. It has sort of the typical things we see in a lot of these, which is it sort of has a sedative effect to some degree. In higher quantities, it can decrease your respiratory drive, potentially to the point of, many people do overdose on Xanax, and it's usually just from respiratory depression, so they just stop breathing.
If a person has ingested Xanax, can you give us an idea of when you would expect to see them starting to show symptoms from that ingestion?
It's very hard to say. You would kind of have to know how much they took and hopefully when they took it. If you got both of those, you might be able to say something. But I wouldn't be able to say with much certainty. I think I'd leave that to a toxicologist maybe to opine on that.
Can you safely opine that it did happen within 14 hours of death?
I would say if he had received it within 14 hours, then it's entirely possible, yes.
You'd expect him to show symptoms, correct?
Correct.
When you take into conjunction the toxicology results in this case, the internal injuries that you documented and told the jury about, and the external injuries that you have talked about in open court today, what was the ultimate ruling on cause of death in this particular case?
Sure. So the cause of death listed on the death certificate is blunt force trauma, and then contributory factors, the toxic effects of alprazolam. These have to be sort of wordsmithed a certain way to fit onto our death certificate. So stylistically, I don't like to combine them both on one line because the blunt force trauma and the alprazolam are very, very different in terms of their mechanisms. So I put the blunt force trauma in part one, and then the contributory factor being the toxic effects of alprazolam.
Is it important for you to consider those two things in conjunction with one another as well?
They must be, and especially in this case.
Can you explain that to the jury, why they must be, and especially in this case?
Well, just because there are certain things you're going to find on autopsy that have nothing to do with the cause of death. So, for instance, if someone has a massive heart attack and they happen to have, marijuana in their system, you don't automatically throw the marijuana in just because it's there. But in a case like this, where you have two things that, in conjunction, both or either could be contributing to the cause of death, it's best to put them together to some degree. So, for instance, in this case, we have blunt force trauma. And all the things we've already talked about that contribute to the cause of death, including potentially multiple impacts to the head, which could make the brain swell, and that could cause death. We've got blood loss, which could potentially cause death. We've got the pancreatic and duodenal injuries, which potentially could lead to organ failure. So lots of things there. But then at the same time, we can't ignore the fact that there's alprazolam in this child's system that can also drive down respiratory rate and cause respiratory depression, which then also could cause the brain to swell if he's not breathing properly.
When you're considering all these things in conjunction with one another, are you also considering whether or not the Xanax that you discovered in Alexavier's system was administered to Alexavier versus him ingesting it on his own?
So there's no way for me to look at a case like this and be able to say with any confidence, was this person given this medication or did they take the medication? However, what we can look at least is, was this person prescribed this medication? And we have no evidence of that.
That Alexavier was not prescribed that medication?
Not by any indication that I have so far.
Can you also look at the age and developmental level of the child in question?
Yes.
In this case, a 6-year-old child?
Correct.
Okay. And we can look at the container that the pills allegedly came from, is that correct?
Yes, you can.
Would you expect in your...
Objection. Speculation here.
I didn't even ask the question.
I'm not sure which question
It was
you're
not
objecting.
it's not within the expert opinions that were disclosed.
On the issue of the pill bottle? Or what are you objecting to?
You restate that.
Judge, I actually do think it's in his report.
Well, which opinion are you saying it's in the report that?
Page 10 of 10 is in his report.
Why don't you talk to him for a second, show it once you left them, see what you're saying. Okay, go ahead. I'll allow you to ask the question.
Thank you. Doctor, do you have your report right in front of you?
Yes, I do.
I'm going to ask you to flip to page 10 of your report,
Okay.
please.
I'm
Are you there? In this section of the report, do you talk about Alexavier's age and his ability, in your assessment, to open a pill bottle if it's properly sealed?
Yes, I do.
Are you talking about pill bottles that have the child safety locks on them?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And what was your assessment of that?
My assessment, I can read it off of here if you'd like. Let's see. I said, it's unclear if the child was given the medication or took it himself. However, it's unlikely that the decedent could open medicine containers if they were properly sealed.
That was a factor that you took into consideration in making your ultimate findings and conclusions?
Yes.
Dr. Quinton, in your review of this case, you had an investigative report from your office related to the underlying facts and circumstances. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. You have not, at least to this date, reviewed any of the law enforcement investigation in this case?
I don't recall if at some point during this last 3 years if I ever reviewed any of that, but I don't have any of those records with me at least.
Okay. And just one more time to be clear, your ruling on cause of death was what?
My ruling on cause of death was blunt force injuries, contributory factor, toxic effects of alprazolam.
And your ruling as to the manner of death for Alexavier J. Pedrin was what?
Homicide.
Thank you, Doctor.
So by the time that you went to bed, my understanding is that around 9 or so, your mother would have shown up to pick up Jalen and Major. Is that right?
Yes,
Why was your mom taking Jalen and Major that night?
because she knew I didn't feel good and she was taking 2 kids for me.
So 3 kids at night was easier to manage than 5?
Yes,
So by the time your mom picked up Jalen and Major, who were the kids that were left in the house?
Alex, Brantley, and Araya.
Now, about what time did you try to start getting the kids to bed?
I believe it would have been around that after Derek got arrested.
Okay. Was it possible to try and get the kids to sleep while the police were there and Derek was being arrested?
Yeah,
Was it difficult to do?
yes,
So where did all of you go to bed?
my bed,
You and all 3 children?
yes,
Did Araya sleep upstairs on that bed that you had for her that evening?
no,
Did Brantley sleep upstairs in that bed that evening?
no.
Can you describe for us the order of the children and you on the bed?
It would have been, looking at the bed, it would have been myself on the left, then Brantley, then Araya, then Alex.
Okay, so I'm just gonna draw a little diagram here of the bed. So we're looking at the bed. Why don't you write for me the order in which you were laying on the bed? Doesn't have this marked as an exhibit, and then we'll publish.
Okay.
Office 310.
Objection.
Okay, go ahead. Received.
Josie, I'm showing you what you drew here. So you would be on the side of the bed closest to where, go in. You were on the side of the bed closest to the nightstand where you had your medications.
Yes,
Was that the medication that you took on a daily basis on the nightstand?
yes,
And it looks like next to you or to your left would be Brant if you're all facing face up, correct?
yes,
And next to Brant would be Araya,
yes,
and at the other end of the bed was Alex.
yes.
Why was Alex on the other end of the bed?
Because he had a walker.
So you had the walker position where you could get him to the walker if you needed to?
Yes,
Did Alex sometimes need to get up at night and use the bathroom?
yes,
Was this common for all of you to sleep in the same bed, kind of like Charlie in the Chocolate Factory?
yes,
Was anything out of the ordinary with the fact that the kids would be in bed with you even after Derek got arrested?
yes.
Or was anything unusual about that?
No.
Sure. And what size bed did you have, Josie?
King size.
Okay, so it was a fairly large bed.
Yes.
Did you do anything in bed with the kids after you all lay down?
No, but I want to correct something. I think I had told Alex to wake me up if he wanted his walker, just to make sure he woke me up.
Okay, thank you. And why did you feel the need to give him that warning?
Just because I wanted to make sure that he had an adult present. I wanted to make sure he woke me up.
Was it pretty normal for you to watch movies or TV shows with the kids in bed?
Yes. It was common for us to have popcorn and watch movies.
Now, did you watch movies or shows that night that you can remember?
Yes, we did.
What do you recall watching?
It was popular for the boys to watch Mary-Kate and Ashley because I called them my twins.
Okay, so they thought they were like the Olsen twins, so they watched that?
Yes.
And at some point did all of the kids go to sleep?
Yes.
Who went to sleep first, if you can recall?
I don't know.
It wasn't Alex, as I understand it.
It wasn't Alex, but thinking back, he wasn't like fully awake.
Okay. What seemed off about him?
He was being silly.
What do you mean?
He was like playing with his hands in the air.
Playing with his hands in the air? Is that a yes?
Yes.
Did you have any reason at that point to suspect that Derek had given him drugs?
No.
You just thought he was being silly?
I thought he was being silly.
Now, while you were in bed, were you talking to Laura Lee?
Yes.
Just generally speaking, how would you describe the tone of that conversation?
We were just talking about me going on the date with Raphael and
Was it a pleasant conversation?
yeah,
Were you excited to go meet Raphael the next day?
yeah.
Did you do any planning online for first date planning?
Yeah, I didn't know of many coffee shops, so I was Googling coffee shops around in the area.
So was that the plan, just to meet Raphael, get coffee, and hang out for an hour or two?
Yeah.
Just to get to know him?
Right.
Were you mad at all at Alex or any of the kids when you were texting back and forth with Laura Lee?
No, I mean, they were all in bed laying there. I wasn't upset at all.
How about at any point in the night were you upset with the kids?
No.
Now, we've already agreed that you had some 164, I think, text messages between you and Raph that evening. How were you feeling talking to Raph?
Fine, I was interested in getting to know him.
Anything about that made you angry?
No.
When you were in bed, do you recall having a phone call with Laura Lee?
Yes.
And what generally was the tone of that conversation?
I was asking her questions about Raph, and That
Happy?
was- Huh? Yeah, it was a good, happy conversation. We were talking about Derek getting arrested and welfare check.
Okay. How about, did you take a series of selfies with Brantley?
I did.
How did that end up happening?
Well, I was taking selfies and he popped his head in.
Okay. Josie, publishing that's already been marked and received in Exhibit 254. So around, I think at some point between 9:06 and 9:15 p.m., you took a few photos with Brantley?
Yeah, my face, that was a forced smile. I did not feel good.
Was Brantley photobombing you?
He was.
Did he think that was funny?
He did. He said, Mom, take one with me.
And how does Brantley look to you in this picture?
Happy.
How do you look?
Well, my face was really red. I wasn't feeling good.
Okay. Do you look angry, Josie?
No.
And when you took these selfies, where were you taking them?
In bed.
With Brantley next to you, as you indicated on the diagram?
Yes.
Is that where Brantley slept for the remainder of the night?
Yes, Brantley was always, he was a mama's boy.
So, on your call with Laura Lee, do you agree with the testimony that there was some discussion about Alex waiting for you to go to sleep so he could get up and get into things?
Yes.
Tell us how that happened to the best of your memory.
I remember that discussion. I mean, that was the last thing Alex said to me. I said, he was playing with his hands in the air, and I said, Alex, are you waiting for me to go to sleep so you can get into stuff? And he said, yes, like that.
You thought that was silly?
I thought he was being silly.
Were you joking with him at that point, or
I was
there an
joking
element
with
of...
him.
I'm
And
sorry.
I was joking with him.
Did you actually expect him to get up and go through things at night?
No.
So, Josie, at some point, well, just to cover the text messages, would you agree that it was pretty consistent that you were texting back and forth with Raph until about 2 a.m.?
I don't remember the times, but yeah.
Until a little bit later in the night,
Yeah.
or early in the morning, I guess. Would you agree that your contact with Laura Lee was pretty consistent throughout that time frame?
Yes.
And during that period, were you hurting Alex at all?
No.
Were you giving Alex Xanax or any other drugs?
No.
Is that something that happened at all that evening?
No, it did not.
If, knowing your children, Araya and Brantley, do you believe that you would be able to beat Alex up in the room and not wake them up?
I believe they would have woke up. They wake up to Derek beating me.
So the state introduced some search history for the drug Ambien. Do you think that you looked that up on the search engine?
Yes, I believe that was a conversation Laura Lee and I were having on the phone, and we were talking about it, and I looked it up.
Did you actually have Ambien?
No.
Did you have a prescription for it?
No, I think she had it when she was in the hospital. I think they gave it to her.
Okay. And at any point, would you have given Ambien or what you believed to be Ambien to Alex?
No. I've never had Ambien, never had it in my possession, never have had it in my system. It was just looking it up. I believe she was given it in the hospital, and she was asking, what is it?
So with Alex having issues getting up and sneaking around, was that what you were referring to with Derek when you said that a parent needs to be with him all the time?
Yes.
Did you eventually go to sleep that night?
Yes, I did.
And I want to ask you a little bit about some of the medications that Alex was taking at that time. Was he taking any medications?
He was taking ibuprofen and Tylenol as needed,
What kind of ibuprofen and Tylenol? The adult version or the kids' chewables?
kids' chewables.
Did he know where those pill bottles were?
I mean, I don't know if he knew they were in my purse.
How did Alex do taking chewable medication like that?
He thought they were candy.
So he had no problem saying that this is yucky or this is gross?
Mm-mm.
Then a no.
No, sorry.
Okay. Did Alex do well taking other medication that kids tend not to like?
Yeah, he did really good taking like medicines from the doctor. He wasn't my struggle compared to like Brantley. He was very hard to get him to take medication.
How about that liquid amoxicillin that doctors give to kids? Did Alex ever take that?
He's had to take it, yes.
How'd he do with that?
Pretty good.
Did Alex ever eat anything that you thought maybe he shouldn't be eating in terms of food or things on the floor?
I always called him a little garbage disposal because he could eat and eat and eat and you didn't know where it went. But like in the van, I swear finding a piece of candy was like Christmas for him and he'd pick it up anywhere and eat it.
The other kids think that was gross?
Yes.
So the allegation has been made, Josie, that you were upset with Alex for stealing Taki chips. Is that true?
No, Alex didn't eat Taki chips.
What did Alex eat?
If it was hot, he would eat hot Cheetos.
I want to talk to you a little bit about how the kids said that Alex would steal things. Had you ever caught Alex stealing from a store before?
Yes.
Irrelevant.
It explains this. It explains the statements and the reputation, Judge.
That's not what the kid said.
You're saying that,
I'm asking who was present for it and when, what Josie's response was to that.
oh, okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Have you ever caught him taking something from a store before?
Yes.
And what did he take?
My object, this is not in other acts. It wasn't noticed. It wasn't,
Response to this, the testimony of the state's witnesses.
which was known. They had the videos. This is not other acts. This was not offered.
The testimony was not consistent with the videos.
Right. Which video are you talking about?
Where Brantley and both Brantley and Major talk about being known for stealing.
So it's in the videos and it was known.
Okay. It's late. I don't know. I can't remember what was said in there exactly about the stealing aspect. You're saying that they were saying that
They would have known about this incident when they talk about mom being upset with him for that.
oh,
Not, Judge, can we have a sidebar? Because
So Josie, your phone activity showed that you were inactive for about 6 hours between 3 a.m. and 9 a.m. Why was that?
I was sleeping.
Would you have been able to go to sleep if you had just beaten Alex up?
No.
Did you have any reason to believe at the time that you went to sleep that something was wrong with Alex?
Something was wrong with Alex, I wouldn't have went to sleep.
Now, I want to talk about the next morning. What do you recall doing when you got up?
First thing I did when I woke up was look at my phone.
Is that what you normally do?
Yes.
Would you have looked at your phone if you thought that something was horribly wrong in the bedroom?
No.
So what did you do once you looked at your phone?
After that, I took what medication I had,
Okay.
and then I stood up, and I thought I was going to get ready and take the kids to my mom's.
Did you text Laura Lee at some point when you were looking at your phone?
Oh, yes, I wrote her. She had sent me a message about a sensory swing for her autistic child, and I said, cool.
Okay. And what was your state of mind when you sent that response?
I had just woken up, and I was about to get the kids ready to take them to my mom's.
Do you think everything was fine at that point?
I did.
So when did that perception change that everything was fine?
I stood up, and I turned around, and I only seen Brantley and Araya on the bed.
What did you do when you only saw Brantley and Araya on the bed?
My heart dropped, and I didn't know where Alex went. I started looking around. He wasn't on the couch. I walked to the other side of the bed, and I seen him laying there.
How did Alex appear when you saw him laying on the other side of the bed?
He looked gray. He had foam in his mouth. His hand was sticking up.
To be clear, was he on the floor at that point?
Yes.
What did you do when you saw Alex in that position?
Told the kids to go upstairs.
Did they go upstairs?
Yes.
What did you do after the kids went upstairs?
I started crying, and I went over to him, and he was cold.
Did you try to do anything to help him?
I tried doing what I thought was CPR.
Tell us about this CPR lesson. How long ago was that?
I was young, I think.
And when you said that you were doing CPR, did you have a chance to see the other first responders doing CPR?
They were pushing a lot harder than I was.
So when you started pushing on Alex, tell us about the foam. What did you notice?
Foam kept coming out.
What did you do when the foam kept coming out?
I kept wiping it.
What color was the foam?
White and yellow.
And when you kept wiping the foam and pushing on Alex's chest, at some point did it become apparent to you that he had passed away?
Yes, and I tried blowing in his mouth after I wiped the foam out.
What did you do once you stopped doing CPR?
I held him.
What were you doing when you held him?
Cried.
Were you saying anything to Alex?
I was begging him to come back.
Was it apparent to you at that point, Josie, that Alex had passed away?
Yes. He was stiff. He was cold.
What was it like in that moment for you?
I didn't understand. I thought he was fine when he went to sleep, and he wasn't.
Josie, did you time how long you were doing CPR?
No.
When you said 10 minutes, was that an estimate?
Yes.
You're holding Alex on the floor. You're crying with him. You're talking to him. What do you do after that point?
Call my mom.
Does Alex go on to the bed at some point?
After I called my mom, I held him more and I cried and I begged him to come back and I cried and I told him I was sorry that I wasn't there when he needed me.
Did he?
And
Go ahead.
I knew that they were going to take him when I called 911. And I just wanted to hold him before they did.
And had you picked him up and put him on the bed at that point?
I was holding him on the bed, yes.
Why didn't you call 911 right away?
Because I knew he was gone. And I didn't want them to take him.
You wanted to hold him one last time?
Yes.
Why did you call your mom first?
I wanted to believe that there was something she could do. Something that would bring him back.
Josie, when the police arrived, do you feel like you had a good memory of that day? That was a really poorly phrased question. Let me rephrase that. Do you have a good memory of everything that the police did and asked you about when they responded on February 11th?
Everything's a blur about the police and everything after seeing Alex's face.
What's your reaction when you've been accused of not showing enough emotion when police were doing CPR on Alex?
I can't help how my emotions are. I can't help that I don't show emotion like other people do. But I know what my heart feels. And I know that I miss him every day. And I know that I loved him with all my heart. And I know that I did not hurt him.
In a moment. Josie, were you crying at points on the 11th?
Yes.
So we saw your interview with Lieutenant Williams. Do you remember seeing that in trial?
Yes.
And how would you describe your emotional state at the time that you talked to Lieutenant Williams? How were you feeling? Let me ask you that.
Felt like a living nightmare. I was in shock.
Did it seem real to you that Alex had passed away?
No.
Why did you tell Sergeant or Lieutenant Williams that you thought Alex got into your medication?
Because I seen the foam in his mouth and I assumed with the foam in his mouth it had to be an overdose. And
Were you paying close attention to your room the night before Alex was arrested, or before Derek was arrested?
no,
Do you know whether or not Derek moved that pill bag and used a bottle to stash his Xanax?
I don't know what Derek did with his Xanax.
So was it your immediate perception that Alex must have gotten into your pills?
That's what I thought.
Were you trying to share what you thought was important about that with Sergeant Williams?
Yes.
And Josie, during that conversation, did anybody ask you about whether or not Derek had ever been violent with Alex?
No.
Did anybody ask you whether or not Derek used illegal prescription drugs?
No.
When you said that it all felt like a dream, what did you mean by that?
I went to sleep and Alex was breathing and I woke up and he was on the floor gray and lifeless.
What did you mean when you told him that you just wanted your baby back?
That's all I wanted. I just wanted him back. I didn't. If I could do anything to trade places, I would.
Recall Sergeant Williams asking you for your telephone. Take him out. Another minute, Josie. Why'd you give it to him?
Because I didn't have anything to hide.
You give him your passcode for the phone as well?
Yes.
He had asked you for access to the camera apps. Would you have given him access to those?
Yes, I would have gave him the cameras. He could have took them.
Did he ask you any follow-up questions about what you meant when you said that Derek was on bond for choking you and getting aggressive with you?
Can you repeat that?
Did he ask you any questions about what you meant when you told him that Derek was on bond for choking and getting aggressive with you?
No, he didn't ask anything about the violence.
Is it important to tell the truth? Yeah, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Can you promise us you'll tell the truth today?
Yes.
Okay. Brantley, I'm going to start off by showing you a picture, okay? It's got a number 6 on it. I want you to tell me if you recognize what's in the picture. Do you recognize what that's a picture of?
Yes.
What's that a picture of?
Alex.
Alex? How do you know Alex?
He's my brother.
What do you remember about Alex?
He used to play with me.
He used to play with you? What did you play with Alex?
My bike.
Ride bikes? Was that a yes?
Yes.
Okay. Were there other things that you played with Alex?
Cars.
Cars? Tell me about playing cars with Alex.
We used to ride cars. We used to play with small cars.
Play with small cars? Is that a yes?
Yes.
Like Hot Wheel cars, like the size of my finger or bigger?
Yes. Hot Wheels.
Hot Wheels? Okay. I'm going to show you another picture now, okay? This picture has the number 68 at the bottom. I'm going to see if you know what's in this picture. What does that picture show?
Our old house.
Your old house? Is that a yes?
Yes.
Who did you live with when you lived at that house?
Josie and Alex and Major.
Josie and Alex and Major? Is that a yes?
Yes. And Araya.
Araya? Okay. Did any adults hurt Alex when you lived at that house?
Yes.
Tell me what adults hurt Alex at that house?
Josie.
Josie? Tell me what you saw with your eyes when you saw Alex being hurt by Josie.
Josie would push him down the basement stairs into the basement when he had a broken leg, and she would choke Alex, and she would hit and kick him.
Okay, you told me a lot of different things, so I kind of want to go through all of those things. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. So the first thing that you told me was that Josie pushed Alex down the stairs when he had a broken leg?
Yes.
Did you see that with your eyes?
Yes.
Where were you when you saw that with your eyes?
Right by Josie.
Right behind her? Is that a yes?
Yes.
What stairs in the house did this happen?
The basement.
The basement stairs? And where was Josie when she pushed Alex into the basement?
Right in front of the basement stairs.
Was she at the top of the stairs, the bottom, or something else?
The front.
The front? Okay. Does that mean the top of them? At the top?
Yes.
Okay. Was there anyone else around when that happened?
Yes.
Who else was around?
Major and Araya.
Major and Araya?
Yes.
Okay. You said this was after Alex already had a broken leg?
Yes,
How do you know it was after Alex already had a broken leg?
because he had a cast on his leg.
He had a cast on his leg? Do you know how Alex got that broken leg?
Yes,
Tell us how Alex got that broken leg.
I think it was because of Josie or something.
You think it was because of Josie? Did you see what happened to Alex with your eyes when he got that broken leg?
No,
No. Okay. Were you told what happened to Alex by anybody?
no,
No? Are you okay?
yes,
Okay, are you okay talking to me?
yes,
Okay. You mentioned that Josie hit Alex.
yes,
Did that happen one time or more than one times?
more.
Tell me about the last time you remember Josie hitting Alex.
Before he died.
Before he died? Is that a yes?
Yes,
What room in the house did that happen in?
our old one.
Your old house? What room in the old house?
Hers.
Hers? Where was Alex when Josie was hitting Alex?
With her in her room.
Where in her room was Alex?
On her bed.
What was Alex doing?
Crying.
He was crying? Is that a yes?
Yes.
Tell me about how Josie was hitting Alex.
She was hitting him a lot, on his legs, and most of his body.
His legs and his body? Is that a yes?
Yes.
What was Josie hitting Alex with?
Her hand.
Her hands?
Yes.
Okay. Can you show me with your hands what Josie's hands looked like when she was hitting Alex? You're showing me open hands? Is that a yes?
Yes.
Was Josie using one hand or more than one hand when she was hitting Alex?
One.
One hand? Was Josie saying anything to Alex when she was hitting him with the hand?
I don't know.
You don't know? You remember seeing Josie's face when she was hitting Alex with the hand?
Yes.
What did Josie's face look like?
She was mad, and she was yelling at him, I think.
She was mad and she was yelling? How did this make you feel when you saw this?
Sad.
Sad? Tell me about another time where Josie hit Alex.
When Alex would grab a snack or something,
Can you tell me that one more time? I didn't hear.
when Alex would grab a snack or something, Josie would yell at him to go in her room, and then she would start hitting him.
When Alex would want a snack, Josie would yell at him, tell him to go in the room and hit him?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to talk about that. You told me about when Josie hit Alex in her bedroom. Remember, we were just talking about that? Where was Derek when that happened?
At work or at her mom's.
Okay.
I mean his.
Was he at the house?
No.
Okay. You were telling me about another time where Josie hit Alex because he wanted a snack. Do you remember that?
Yes.
How was Josie hitting Alex that time?
The same how she always would.
And how did she always hit Alex?
Really hard.
Really hard? How were her hands when she would hit Alex? You're showing me open again?
Yes.
Did Josie ever do anything other than use an open hand when she hit Alex?
Yes.
What else would she do?
Spatula.
Spatula? Tell me about when Josie used the spatula to hit Alex.
She would hold it in her hands and then grip it really tightly, then start hitting him.
Where would she hit Alex with the spatula?
And where she would hit him with her hands.
On his body? What parts of his body?
Everywhere.
Everywhere? Did that happen one time or more than one time?
More.
More than one time? Did Josie use anything other than hands or the spatula when she would,
For Alex,
yes,
her feet.
her feet? Tell me about Josie using her feet to hurt Alex.
She would kick Alex really hard, and I think that's how he got the broken leg.
That's, you think that's how he got the broken leg? Okay. I'm going to ask you again, you didn't see him get the broken leg, did you?
No.
No. Okay. Tell me the last time you saw with your eyes Josie kick Alex.
When my dad went to jail.
Tell me all about that. What do you remember?
I remembered he was going into a cop car, and then then I turned around and Josie started kicking Alex.
So you told me he was going into a cop car. Did I get that right?
Yes,
Okay. Who is the he that was going into a cop car?
my dad.
Your dad? Okay. And you said you saw Josie kicking Alex?
Yes.
Where was Alex in the house?
The room.
In who?
In Josie's room.
In Josie's room? Where was he in Josie's room?
On the bed.
On the bed?
Or on the ground, I think.
On the bed or the ground? Do you remember where he was?
Last time I saw, he was on the ground.
On the ground? When he was alive?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me what you saw with your eyes when Josie was kicking Alex.
What?
What did you see with your eyes when you saw Josie kicking Alex?
Josie kicking Alex and Alex crying.
Did she kick Alex one time or more than one time?
More.
Where was she kicking Alex?
His legs.
His legs?
And his, ribs.
His ribs? Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay. Did you see Josie's face when she was kicking Alex in the legs and the ribs?
Yes.
What did Josie's face look like?
Mad.
Was
And she was yelling.
Do you remember what Josie was yelling?
I forgot.
Forgot. Okay. Did Josie kick Alex other times?
Yes.
Tell me about another time Josie kicked Alex.
The day before he died.
The day before.
And when we were in that house. A lot.
Did it happen a lot in the house?
Yes. That was the only time it would happen.
When?
When we were in the house.
When you were in that house? Okay. Tell me about that day before I think you said the day before he died, there was kicking?
Yes.
Okay, tell me what you remember about that.
I remember he was laying on the bed trying to sleep, and the morning he was dead.
He was dead? Okay. The night that you saw Alex laying on the bed and trying to go to sleep, did you go to sleep on the same bed as Alex, or did you go to sleep in a different room?
Different room.
Tell me what room you slept in that night.
I slept upstairs.
You slept upstairs? On the night that Alex went to bed before he woke up the next morning dead, where did Araya sleep? Did Araya sleep in the bed with Alex or in a different room?
She slept with her mom.
You slept with your mom?
Josie.
Okay. Do you know that she slept there, or are you guessing that?
I know that she slept there.
Know that she slept there. Okay. And you said you slept upstairs.
Yes.
Okay. Tell me about seeing Alex when he was dead.
He was laying on the bed with his eyes closed, not moving, and then I was in the living room watching what happened.
You're watching what happened?
Then Josie pulled me away.
Okay. How did you find out that Alex was dead?
Because Josie was crying, my son.
She was crying, my son? What was Josie doing when she was crying, my son?
Nothing. She was just crying.
She was crying?
Yes.
Did you see Josie do anything to Alex's body?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay. Where was Alex's body when you first saw it?
Like where was he when he was dead?
Yeah.
On the room next to the living room.
Okay. Is that Josie's room?
Yes.
Okay. And where was his body in that room?
On the bed in the middle of the bed.
On the bed in the middle of the bed?
Yes.
Okay. Was it hard to see Alex that way?
Yes.
You talked a little bit about hitting with hands and kicking with feet, right?
Yes.
Okay. Were there other ways that Alex was hurt?
No. I mean, yes. Choking.
Tell us about choking.
Every time when Josie would think Alex did something wrong, she would start choking him, and Alex couldn't say anything when she was choking Alex.
What did Alex's face look like when Josie choked
Red.
Alex? Red? You said Alex couldn't say anything?
Yes, and it was sometimes purple.
Sometimes purple? Is that a yes?
Yes.
Did Josie choke Alex one time or more than one time?
More than once.
More than once? Did the choking happen a lot?
Yes.
Did it happen more than 3 times?
Yes.
Did the kicking happen more than 3 times?
Yes.
Did the hitting happen more than 3 times?
Yes.
What did it feel like to see these things happen to Alex?
It would feel, no.
Did you feel safe when you saw these things?
No.
Was Alex treated differently in the house with food?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Every time when Alex wouldn't eat his food, Josie would put hot sauce on it, and then if he didn't eat it, she would put more hot sauce and force him to eat it.
What would happen if Alex did not eat the food with the hot sauce on it?
He would get hit, kicked, and choked.
Who would do the hitting, the kicking, and the choking?
Josie.
Did the hot sauce on the food happen one time or more than one time?
More.
Where was Derek when there was hot sauce on the food?
At his mom's and sometimes at work.
Was Derek ever home when these things happened to Alex?
No. Every time when Dad would be home, she would act nice to Alex, but when he wasn't, she wouldn't. And one time, Josie threw a metal thing at my dad's head, and his head started bleeding.
Did you see that with your eyes?
Yes.
You remember that?
Yes.
Did Josie and your dad fight a lot?
Yes. But it was mostly her fault.
Was your dad sometimes mean to Josie?
No.
No? Was there anything done with pizza and Alex in the house?
No.
No? Do you remember anything about how Alex would have to eat pizza?
No.
Okay.
He would never get pizza.
He would never get pizza?
Unless he was at school and pizza was an option. That was the only time he would get pizza.
Okay. Did you guys eat pizza a lot at the house?
Yes, only Major, me, and Araya, but Alex would only get noodles.
You'd only get noodles?
Yes.
Okay. So when you ordered pizza, Alex wouldn't get any pizza?
No.
Okay. Did Alex have to eat in a different place than you?
No, he would sit where we would sit.
He would sit where you would sit?
Yes.
Okay. You told us about kicking, you told us about hitting, you told us about choking. Is there anything else about how Alex would get hurt in the house?
Not that I know of.
Not that you know of. Okay. And those are things that you saw with your eyes, is that right? move State's Exhibit 68 into evidence.
Objection.
Received.
Brantley, we talked a little bit about your dad too, right?
Yes,
And your dad's name is
Derek.
Derek? Did you ever see Derek do anything to
No.
Alex? How about to you?
No. Our dad wouldn't do anything to the kids. It was just Josie who would.
Brantley, is there anything that I forgot to ask you that you think is important?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay. Judge, is this okay to break here for lunch?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Okay.
So, hey, Brantley, we're going to take a break for a bit, have lunch, and then we'll come back and do a little bit more, okay? Okay. Why don't we have you go on out? Go on out, we'll have you. Okay, thank you. Okay. So we'll take lunch break at this time. I still want to start at 1:15. It gives you a little bit more time. Please don't talk about the case. If you need something, let us know, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
Computer, too, please.
Yeah.
You can sit down if you want. I was just going to ask if there's anything we need to talk about before the lunch break from the state's perspective.
No, Your Honor.
Defense? Okay. So be here about 10 after 1. Start back up at 1:15. We'll go from there. All right. See you then.